If you've ever felt like the winds of change are blowing in the NFL, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Monday, December 15th edition. It's another Victory Monday for you out here today. We got some news from over the weekend. We are the last full week before the truncated Christmas holiday week. Happy Hanukkah out there to everyone that celebrates. The holidays are here. We're expecting low volume. We do have some news to go over. We obviously have a big Bank of Japan decision later this week as well that is likely going to affect our markets and things connected to our markets. So despite the ongoing holiday as well as the looming holiday, we've got some more stuff to go over. We start here today. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for December 15th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. We are back. Make sense of our crazy market yet again. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Peter is first. Good morning, Peter. Peter, I heard, I believe it was Saturday, it was either Friday or Saturday, that the temperature near or in Denver was close to 70 degrees. You'll have to let me know if that's the case. That was notable because on Saturday, the temperature here in Chicago was 1 degree. There was a 69-degree difference between here and Denver. Absolutely wild. Hope that you had a great weekend. Congrats on being first. Happy Monday. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, we do have more data coming this week. We have delayed data as well as some fresh data coming. And then as mentioned at the top there, the Bank of Japan. So I know we've got a holiday coming up here. We do have some data to get through first. We will make sense of all of that. Good morning, Brian. Solidary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. It's good to see you again. Corey, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. Itty, good morning. The producers locked in. Dive Deep, good morning. Jane, good morning. It's great to see you again, Jane. Hope you're well. Graf, good morning. Whis, good morning. Welcome back. Tom, good morning. Tom, I appreciate you a lot. Hoot, good morning. Welcome back. Jeff says, good morning from Ben Johnson and his Bears. Indeed, buddy. Victory Monday here. It's Packer week again. Big game on Saturday. We are ready to go. Lion, good morning. H&H Tactical, good morning. Dan Nick, good morning. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Matthew, good morning. Super Sam, good morning. Zoran Borjarvisevich, I butchered your name, and I'm sorry about that, but good morning. Thanks for joining us. Lambo Rolls, good morning. Day Traders locked in, good morning. Super Sam, good morning. Neville, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Let's see what else we got here. Best Life, good morning. Durkis, good morning. Big Dave, good morning. 1BSD Junkie, good morning. Ed, good morning. Big Bees, good morning. Peter says we're currently at record temps. Okay, so the weather report wasn't lying. That's crazy. Lost Penny, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Ryan Summerall, good morning. Welcome back. Frank, good morning. Frank, we got a Bears-Niners matchup coming after this, not this weekend, but the following weekend. We'll see how that all goes. 08, Roush, Stage 3, good morning. Welcome back. James, good morning. Catherine, good morning. And Scarlett, good morning. All right, folks, it's Monday. Let's get started. Jay Harris, good morning. Let's get started with our stock market today. All right, future producer. All right, futures green across the board here this morning. S&P futures up 0.48%, Dow futures up 0.46%, and the NASDAQ leading the way higher, 0.55%. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session. Consumer staples, discretionary, and healthcare were in the green on Friday, while information technology, energy, and industrials witnessed steep declines. Investors on Monday will be eagerly awaiting the results of the Empire State Manufacturing Survey alongside the speeches of Federal Reserve Governor Stephen Miron and New York Fed President John Williams, both scheduled early in the day ahead of a slew of other economic data that's set to be released over the course of this week. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.17%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.51%. Now, we do have some stocks in focus here today. First one's going to be iRobot, maker of the Roomba there. Ticker IRBT is down 81.98% in the pre-market, following the company's decision to file for bankruptcy after tariffs took a toll on the company's margins. So you know what this means. First of all, anytime that we get stocks that declare bankruptcy, sometimes they end up working out for a trade. So we will keep our eye on ticker IRBT. No word if the Roomba's still stuck in the corner, not doing its job, by the way. The next stock on our list here is MindWalk Holdings. That's ticker HYFT. It is set to release its fiscal second quarter earnings on Monday, with Wall Street expecting the company to report a loss of 1 cent per share on $4 million in revenue. Stock is up 10.73% here in the pre-market. Catapult Holdings is our next stock on the list. That's ticker KPLT, and that was down 9.12% in the pre-market following the news of the company's all-stock merger with Aaron's and CCF, aimed at forming a powerhouse in non-prime finance. We actually took a look at this stock last week. Looks like we're gearing up for another move here this week. The next stock on our list is going to be Argenx. That's ticker ARGX, and it's down 6.72% in the pre-market after disclosing that its phase 2 Uplight TED study for thyroid eye disease was discontinued after a futility review. The last stock on our list here is going to be AMREP. That's ticker AXR, and that reported disappointing second quarter results on Friday, which missed the consensus estimate on the top and bottom lines. All right, folks, let's take a look at the SPY chart and see where we are at. Here you go. Here's where the week opens. Now, we talked last week about a number of things. We talked about the sideways trading, the fact that it was holding there. Really seemed like it was gearing up for another move into the end of the year here, and perhaps supported by a Santa Claus rally, which, remember, starts after Christmas, not before. We had a kind of a pullback there on Friday. If you actually look at the candles themselves, let me zoom in so it's a little bit easier for us to see. If you actually look at the candles themselves, it does not appear that a whole lot of new work was done. Yeah, we did close a little bit lower than the candle on Wednesday, but for the most part, it just kind of held it. If we zoom out here to the inside chart on the multi-day, you'll see what actually took place. It does look like this 680 area, which supported us back here at the beginning of December, came in to support us again here on Friday. So today, as we zoom into today, there's no doubt about it that a key level here is going to be that round 680 number. You might even also want to consider 681 an area of note, maybe even up to 682. Let's just call it 680 to 682. That should be a significant area or support area for SPY if we do end up trading down. Now, as mentioned, we're a little bit higher here in the pre-market on light volume. Futures are holding higher by just about 0.5%. If we go back to the daily chart here, again, where do we go for our next move? I'm sure is the question, and when does that move start? The good news here is that as we continue to trade sideways without breaking down, we are actually dragging up some of those shorter term moving averages like the 20 and the 50. Both of those are now above the trend line that we ended up snapping. So some key levels to the downside outside of the 680 to 682 area on SPY are represented here by the two moving averages, the 20s at 676.63 and the 50 days at 674.75. I would imagine any initial move down in the market, we're likely to determine whether or not those are going to be strong enough spots to support us. For the upside here, we're basically just looking at the high put in here from December 11th. That high was 689.25. If we go back, the 689.70 level, that was from October 29th. We actually did trade above that area, but it was in the extended session. So frankly, we'd like to see that take place in the regular session. We'll see if we end up breaking to the highs here with all of the data that's due out here this week. So that's where we're at with the SPY. That's kind of where we start. Let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. According to the Kobisi letter in a post on X, since 1929, the S&P 500 has risen in 79% of Santa Claus rally periods with an average gain of 1.6%. Often referred to as the Santa Claus rally, this covers the and I know there's been some dispute on this. Let's just, once again, the show is just going to go ahead and dispel all of the rumors. The Santa rally covers the last 5 trading days of December and the first 2 trading days of January. The post further noted that since 1950, the S&P 500 has posted positive results in 79% of these periods. So not a guarantee, of course, but looking pretty good. The odds are absolutely in your favor for an up market in that period with an 80% clip just about. You're looking at average gains of about 1.6%. It also says that over the last 8 years, the index has declined during the Santa Claus window only once, while concluding that by saying the S&P 500 could reach the 7,000 point mark by the end of this year. Now, anyone that might want to go through these tweets here, the Kobisi letters, tweet threads, any of the infographics that they have, the link to this story is in the chat. Now, for Monday, the Empire State Manufacturing Survey for December will be released at 8:30 Eastern. It's coming out here in about 18 minutes. Fed Governor Stephen Miran is scheduled to speak at 9:30 Eastern, and at 10 Eastern, we get the National Association of Home Builders to release its Home Builders Confidence Index for December. This will be followed by remarks from New York Fed President John Williams at 10:30. Okay, next stock here. I was hoping we'd get Jamie Dimon early here, but probably not. Day trader, I'm glad you're here. We got some more news here for the tokenized world. JP Morgan to rival BlackRock and Goldman Sachs with $100 million of tokenized money market fund. JP Morgan, ticker JPM, has launched its first tokenized money market fund on Ethereum, marking a significant step in Wall Street's push towards on-chain finance. JP Morgan's asset management arm is rolling out its first tokenized money market fund branded by My On-Chain Net Yield Fund, or MONY Money, the Wall Street Journal reported on Monday. The private fund will run on the Ethereum blockchain and is seeded with $100 million of JP Morgan's own capital. The bank supports the product through its Connects digital assets platform and will offer it to qualified investors, including individuals with at least 5 million in investable assets and institutions with a minimum of 25 million. The fund carries a $1 million minimum investment. The launch follows growing momentum across Wall Street after regulatory clarity earlier this year unlocked broader experimentation with tokenized financial products. Firms are increasingly exploring blockchain infrastructure to modernize, settlement, collateral usage, and access to yield-bearing instruments. JP Morgan executives said client demand is accelerating as institutional investors seek blockchain-native alternatives to traditional money market products. Investors in money will receive digital tokens in crypto wallets and can subscribe or redeem using cash or USDC. JP Morgan recently tokenized a private equity fund on its blockchain platform for wealthy clients served by its private bank. Now, tokenized money market funds will allow investors to earn yield while keeping assets entirely on-chain, addressing a long-standing issue where stablecoin holdings typically did not pass interest income to holders. For asset managers, tokenization offers operational efficiency, faster settlement, and potential integration with crypto trading venues where tokenized funds can be used as collateral. The structure also opens the door to attracting capital from digital asset native investors who have historically remained outside traditional fund vehicles. Earlier this year, platforms including Robinhood, ticker HOOD, Kraken, and Gemini, ticker GEMI, launched tokenized stock and exchange traded funds for non-US investors. JP Morgan's move places it alongside major peers expanding into tokenization. BlackRock operates the largest tokenized money market fund in the market today. Goldman Sachs has announced plans to tokenize fund ownership for institutional clients, and BNY is pursuing similar initiatives focused on custody and fund infrastructure. JP Morgan has already tokenized private equity vehicles for its private bank clients, signaling that blockchain infrastructure is becoming a core component of its long-term capital market strategy rather than a side experiment. For anyone that wants the charts or anything connected to this, I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat as well. From a technical perspective, JP Morgan shares are consolidating near record levels after a steady multi-month rally. The stock remains inside a rising price channel that has guided price action higher since the spring. The 20-day EMA sits near 310, followed by the 50 EMA at 307 and the 100 EMA at 301. The 200 EMA is near 285, remains well below the price, confirming the longer-term uptrend. This alignment with the 20 EMA above the 50, followed by the 100 and 200, reflects a bullish trend structure. The recent pullback towards the 300 to 305 zone was quickly absorbed, turning that area into near-term support. Resistance remained clustered between 320 and 325, where the price has stalled several times without sharp rejection. This suggests supply is being absorbed rather than aggressively sold. So one thing here, first of all, we've talked about JPM being a potential trade. For those of you that might be bullish on financials, this is something else that we've been talking about recently. For those that are bullish on financials going into 2026, JPM probably a pretty good pick there. I know for myself here, I'm more on the investment banking side, like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, mostly because I don't do a lot of financials trading. But JP Morgan here, clearly one of the best in breed. Looks like they're really trying to expand tokenization and blockchain. As we've been telling you for years here at Benzinga, that's not going anywhere. The fears of that disappearing and dropping off into the ether are bunk. And we're seeing more and more of that here. JP Morgan currently sitting right near a possible triple top breakout, as we just outlined by some of the technicals. It mentioned EMAs. My chart, I have SMAs plotted here, but frankly, it tells a very, very similar story. So JP Morgan, giddy up, looking pretty good. All right, next story here has to do with Tesla, which is up here in the pre-market. Tesla up 7 points just about here in the pre-market. Tesla board members rake in over $3 billion in stock awards despite a 2021 pay freeze. The board members of Tesla have reportedly amassed over $3 billion through stock awards, collectively surpassing the value of similar incentives at other U.S. tech firms. An analysis by compensation and government specialist Equilar and Reuters disclosed that Tesla's board members have reaped these substantial rewards. God, easy for me to say, despite not awarding themselves new stock grants since 2020. Tesla board members have earned massive sums over the years, with Kimball Musk making nearly $1 billion since 2004. Ira Enriquez, I probably butchered that, made $869 million since 2007, and Robin Delholme made $650 million since 2014. Even though the board members agreed to halt director compensation from 2021 onwards to settle a lawsuit filed by shareholders alleging excessive pay, they've already received an average of about $12 million in cash and stock compensation between 2018 and 2020. This amount was roughly 8 times greater than what the average director at Alphabet, the next highest paying company among the Mag 7, earned during the same period, as per the analysis. The report further revealed that between 2018 and 2024, Tesla board members earned, on average, including the 4 years of suspended pay, 2.5 times more than Meta directors, who were the next highest paid over the 7-year span. Tesla's board also opted for compensation in stock options rather than shares. a practice some corporate governance experts criticize for potentially boosting directors' upside without exposing them to downside risk. The revelation of a substantial stock awards for Tesla's board members comes at a time that the company is in the spotlight for various reasons. Just recently, Kimball Musk, brother of CEO Elon Musk and a board member of Tesla, offloaded over $25 million worth of Tesla shares. This move raised questions about the Musk family confidence in the company's future performance. Moreover, Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package, a first in global corporate history, has been a topic of debate. Critics have pointed out potential loopholes that could allow Musk to reap substantial benefits by making grand promises and delivering just enough to secure a significant reward. Really quickly, here is an update on Tesla with the Benzinga proprietary rankings. Still scores very high in momentum and quite high in quality, although growth has ticked down a little bit and value still in the red. One more story here before we go to our guests. This one's about Intel. How much time? Oh, we got plenty of time here. Intel is in advanced talks to buy artificial intelligence chip startup SambaNova Systems for about $1.6 billion, including debt. That's per sources. The Palo Alto-based deal could close as soon as next month. Additionally, SambaNova could pursue another option as it has signed term sheets with other potential investors. That was reported by Bloomberg over the weekend. Founded in 2017 by Stanford professor, SambaNova builds custom AI chips to compete with NVIDIA. Notably, Intel's CEO Lip-Bu Tan serves as SambaNova's chairman. Moreover, his venture firm Walden International led SambaNova's 56 million share A round in 2018. At this price, Intel would gain a long-sought AI platform at a steep discount. In contrast, SambaNova reached a $5 billion valuation during a 2021 funding round led by SoftBank. Intel held $11.14 billion in cash and cash equivalents as of the end of September 27, 2025. Intel stock gained 89% year to date, driven by the AI focus, U.S. government support, and potential customer deals like Apple. On October 23rd, Intel reported stronger than expected third quarter results. The chipmaker posted a revenue of $13.65 billion, which topped estimates of $13.14 billion. Adjusted earnings came in at 23 cents. Overall, total revenue rose 3% year over year. Client computing revenue increased 5% year over year, and data center and AI revenue slipped 1%. So really, is Intel actually turning it around? I know we talked about this being very much similar to an oil tanker, a huge ship that takes a long time to turn. But when it does, it could actually make for a pretty good trade. If we go back to the chart here, I know Intel's already paid a lot of our viewers here. So we were talking about this when it was in the teens. Made a number of moves here. We've recaptured a lot of moving averages. We've actually broke trend lines. Intel, off of its recent move to the highs, which is about $44, this is actually pulled back and so far flirting with the 50-day moving average. It's technically above it here in the pre-market, but still right in that area, right around our trend line, and also right around that 50-day moving average. Okay, one more quick update here on Palantir, and then we'll go to our guest here today. Palantir announced on Monday that it has renewed its contract with France's DGSI for 3 years, extending a partnership that began a decade ago. The DGSI serves as France's main domestic intelligence agency, overseeing counterterrorism, counterespionage, cybercrime, and national security threats. The agreement covers Palantir's software platform, along with integration support and operational assistance for daily use. Palantir said its role remains clearly defined and aligned with French legal and regulatory requirements. Additionally, the partnership supports France's broader push towards greater technological autonomy. A France-based team with local leadership continues to deliver and manage Palantir solutions for the intelligence agency. These tools supported DGSI's operation during major events, including the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Palantir also reaffirmed its commitment to providing reliable mission-critical capabilities for national security. Palantir stock has gained a whopping 143% year-to-date, backed by its artificial intelligence platform, AIP, U.S. commercial revenue, and government contract wins. Last week, Palantir partnered with the U.S. Navy to deploy its Foundry and AI platform across shipbuilding operations under ShipOS. The Navy approved a $448 million to accelerate AI and autonomous adoption across the maritime industrial base. Moreover, Navy Secretary John Phelan and CEO Alex Karp shared ShipOS modernizes outdated shipbuilding processes using real-time data-driven software. Early pilots delivered strong gains, cutting planning and review timelines from weeks to minutes. Therefore, the Navy plans a phased rollout across submarine builders, shipyards, and key suppliers. Now, we'll finish up here real quick with the Palantir chart because I struggle to think of any stocks that were a bigger single issue winner in 2025 than Palantir. I know a lot of you folks were all over this year, more than a double, just a huge move from Palantir. And recently, although we didn't quite get to that 200-day, we sure did pull back near it, got kind of a reversal candle there. We'll have to ask Red Dog if that's a Red Dog reversal. But that took out our downtrend line, collapsed a lot of our moving averages. Now we're actually trading sideways. Sure looks to my eye like Palantir is set to make another move here towards 200. Sure looks like that is the case coming here. All right, folks. It's Monday. It's just about 8:30. We got one of our favorite guests back here today. It is my pleasure to welcome on Egilinsky, Managing Director, Head of Global Sales and Distribution and Alternatives at Direxion. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Ed, good morning. Happy Monday. How you doing, boss?
Happy Monday to you too as well. A little disappointed with the Cowboys last night, but as I said weeks ago, they give you the high expectations and let you down. So hopefully that's not a sign for my Christmas holiday season in terms of what gifts I get. So
I can tell you, as someone that's rooted for the Bears, who have been pathetic for a lot of times, it at no point affected Christmas. So I think you should be in good standing there. I will say that one of my coworkers and friends here, who's a massive Vikings fan, says that the Vikings play their best football when nothing's on the line. And of course, the Bears win yesterday officially eliminated them from the playoffs. So they went on to play your Cowboys tough. And I'm sorry about that.
Oh, man. You know what? There's always next year. That's the good thing.
You got that right. I've been, as a Cubs fan and a Bears fan, I've said that plenty of times. But it's a Victory Monday here today, so I can't wipe the smile off my face. I'm sorry about that. Ed, just getting down to brass tacks here. We had a Fed decision recently, and we had a cut. It sure seemed like the cut was baked into the market. It felt like that leading up to it. Now that we actually have the news, what does the recent Fed meeting and subsequent cut possibly suggest to traders on the direction of interest rates?
It's really difficult still. We have traders playing both sides of the trade on the 7 to 10 year and the 20-plus year Treasury. As your viewers know, we have triple leverage bull and bear on the 20-plus year TLT, which is TMF, TMV, and we also have on the 7 to 10 year for those that traded TYD and TYO, the triple leverage 7 to 10 year off the IEF. Look at the Fed themselves. There were multiple dissenters even for this rate cut. So there's a lot of uncertainty with the Fed right now. You look at the Fed fund futures, they're saying 2 cuts next year. The Fed survey itself is only saying 1 cut. You have the wild card with Powell. What's going to happen there? Of course, you have a new Fed chair. If you're thinking that they're going to listen to Trump, maybe there'll be more aggressive rate cuts. But certainly Friday's action, Ryan, really it says a lot in terms of there wasn't a flight to safety on Friday. Rates have crept up this month. They continue to on Friday on a sell-off in the market. So I think that's something to watch definitely in terms of the price action or the movement of rates. Even on a day where you thought you'd get a flight to safety, you didn't get that. So the path right now, the path of least resistance has been rates rising, bond prices falling. And I don't know if the Fed, during the meeting and the minutes, certainly gave you any clarity there. So traders are playing both sides of the trade. On Friday, they were coming in a little bit more aggressively on the bullish side on bonds in terms of looking for rates to reverse and go down a little bit.
I'll tell you what, this TMV is the pair here for the 20-year. These are the levered products from Direxion. I'll tell you what, the TMF looks like this is going to roll over some more. And that TMV that we were just looking at, that was a recent recapture here of the 200. This looks like it's going to try and break out. So the bear levered vehicle sure looks like a breakout here is coming. Okay, let me ask you, what do you attribute the outperformance of small caps in December to? How can active traders take advantage of that? I know we talk a lot about the TNA and the TZA here. What do the flows tell you, Ed?
Well, the flows up until Friday, definitely for the month, they were leaning towards TZA, which is the bear. And you usually see some counter movement in our traders. You get a rally like you've had in small cap. You get a sell on the rally, and then people thinking there's going to be a reversal. The one thing with small caps, is this rotation for real or not? We've talked about this many times on the show. The extent of the interest rate cut will be the key driver for small caps going forward. As you know, and your viewers know, they tend to need more cash, and their borrow costs, if they're lower, that's going to be a tailwind for them. So a continued seeing rates drop should be favorable for small caps. But if you get a Fed like this that's uncertain, then you don't know if you're going to see any more rate cuts, that might put some sort of stall to the rally in small caps recently. And you saw that a little bit of Friday on the pullback. So we're seeing a lot of activity this month in TZA, which is the triple leverage bear on the Russell 2000. But on Friday, we saw some buying on the dip with TNA, which is the triple leverage bull on the Russell 2000 small cap.
Yeah, and honestly, the TNA chart here, this actually doesn't look like a bad spot to buy it on a pullback if you do think this is going to continue. You did a really good job there outlining what it means for small caps next year. And I'll tell you what, going into this rate decision, as this rate decision seemed to get priced into the market, it sure seemed like there was a lot of bullishness on small caps. But to your point, how many rate cuts are we going to get next year and when? And will the small cap market respond to all of that? We'll have to wait and see. All right, I just finished talking about a couple of AI stocks there. Is the AI momentum train derailing with this last week's earnings from Oracle and Broadcom? And I know that you also have some ETFs to take advantage of this. ORCU is your levered Oracle one. This is a new product. What do you think here about the AI trade, given what we just saw?
Yeah, certainly. When you look at Broadcom and Oracle last week, both with earnings, the valuations are a little lofty there.
Yep.
There's a lot of concerns on the slowdown in AI spend and demand. Broadcom's earnings, just to start with them, were good, but the lower margins and the AI backlog question certainly was an overhang for the stock, and it was down double digits on the day after it announced earnings. Some people are playing our 2X bull AVL on Broadcom.
Yep.
Some believe that the downside pressure will continue, so they're playing the non-leverage inverse AVS. Also Broadcom's up about 60% for the year, so it's had a strong run here. So a pullback, for a lot of people isn't so surprising. When you look at Oracle, it was interesting because it had some downside pressure before earnings, and it got exacerbated a little bit. They announced their more sizable AI spend, combined with the OpenAI data center potential delays from 27 to 28. Stock continues to have some pressure. It's been down about 40% over the last 7 weeks. It is getting to some oversold conditions, Oracle itself. We're seeing some activity in the 2X bull on Oracle. You just mentioned it, ORCU, but also continued people playing the downside with the inverse 1X bear, which is ORCS. The broader semis have retraced recently also on the price action of Oracle and Broadcom. So for those people that may want to trade the broader basket of AI stocks as a group, we have an AI 2X bull AIBU and the bear AIBD. If somebody wants to play the broader AI, big data and AI space there. What's interesting also in AI, keep an eye on the federal government. They feel that they should be in control of any AI regulations, not leaving it at the state level. I think that could be beneficial for AI in general if it's at the federal level relative to leaving it to the states. We'll see there.
Okay, AIBD and AIB. I'm going to have to add these to my toolbox too. This is a great way to play that levered AI trade. And you actually, that was a perfect segue here because I wanted to ask you something regarding some of the semiconductors. I know we've talked a lot here about SOXL and SOXS. I trade these myself probably more than any other sector-specific ETF. It's these two that I trade the most.
Along with everybody else, SOXL is our biggest fund by far. So continued focus on the semis, as you said.
Yeah. Now I got two questions here. So first of all, with the semiconductors rallying this month, we've got Micron earnings this week. How can traders take advantage of either side of this? And then what are you seeing? And then I'll follow up with my second question specific to SOXS after that.
Yeah, well, look at the semis, for example. Until the latter part of last week, it was having a strong month. It's pulled back. It's still positive for the month, but barely. Micron's going to be a big barometer for the semiconductor space. Look at Micron. You mentioned Palantir, how great the move was in Palantir. I think Micron is up about 190% year to date. MU. So is it going to be a sell on the news again? We have a 2x bull MUU. And then for inverse 1x bear, I love this one, MUD, M-U-D. If you think it's going down, you might be stuck in the mud. But the big focus this week is going to be on memory chip sales when it comes to Micron and cloud data centers as well. Valuations are high when you look at the space as a whole. So when you look at, if you want to trade the broader semi space, of course, there's SOXL. It's triple leverage on the NYSE Semiconductor Index. And then the bear triple leverage is SOXS, as you mentioned as well. But we also recently had a Titan series that we brought out. We've mentioned it on the show before. If you want to trade a basket of the 5 largest market cap weighted stocks in the NYSE Semiconductor Index, you got TXSU on the 2X bull side, and the 2X bear side, TXSD. So we have a lot of ways to trade semiconductors, whether you want it a la carte, individual stocks of the semis, a concentrated basket of just the top 5, and then you have the broader basket as well. Keep in mind, NVIDIA also, the ability for them to export more AI chips with some of the news last week, that could help NVIDIA stock as well. And of course, we have the 2X bull inverse bear, NVDU on the bull side, NVDS on the bear side.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Really good stuff there with NVIDIA. Lots of ways to play this. It sure looks like these are becoming more and more popular. Look, I got to ask you on SOXS. So we look at this one often. We trade this one often, mostly because tech has continued to push higher here. And a lot of traders think that a pullback here is healthy, let alone needed. One of the things that the group of traders that discuss this on a regular basis have said is that when is this going to get reverse split again? Because it really kind of sucks trading it when it's $3 here. It seems like it trades a lot better when the price is higher. Can you give us any insight on that?
Well, keep in mind, the reason the price is so low is because there's a triple leverage bear, and that has not been the trade, especially since the 90-day moratorium. So it's a product of the underlying benchmark and the reverse in terms of it's been a bull environment for it, so it's trended lower. So it has no reflection on whether it's going to be delisted or not, like individual stocks. It's the basket of the semiconductor space. So the reason it's down and the pressure's on it because of the triple leverage. I can tell you this: somebody could sign up for our operational updates on our website, and we'll send you all the corporate actions, including any forward or reverse splits. When something gets into single digits for a sustainable period of time, especially below 5, we'll tend to look to do a reverse split. So just keep that in mind as well. We're cognizant of it. If it stays at these levels, eventually we will probably do some sort of reverse split as well. But the daily tracking, Ryan, it doesn't matter if it was $3 or $6 or $60. It's going to track for any given single day. And then after that, you have to worry about the compounding, and the trend is your friend. As we all know, these are path dependent.
Okay. That's real. Yeah. You know what? I didn't realize that there was something I could sign up for. That's absolutely something that I would do. And yeah, I understand it tracks it. It's just one of those things where it feels like I feel as if I do a better job when the stock is a little, or when the asset, I guess I should say, is a little bit higher price. So I look forward to that. That makes a lot of sense though, and appreciate that. Okay, look, the chat would absolutely have my head if I did not ask you about metals. So let's talk about that here real quick. Gold and silver. Obviously, mining's been huge recently. The last time we talked about that, I think we actually talked about Nugget and Dust and JNUG. What are you seeing in the metals market here with everything going on with the Fed, markets near all-time highs? What are you seeing in these?
Well, it's interesting. The price action, look at silver and gold. I've talked about just the precious metals, the silver and gold ratio, and how silver had some catch up to do. And now silver's at all-time highs as well. The US dollar is starting to weaken again. I think that's a big key, especially for the precious metals. There's an inverse relationship there historically. Mm-hmm. Last 3 weeks, there's been a lot of pressure on the dollar. Some of it Fed related. Others of it is just the weakening of the dollar itself. So I think that could be further tailwind for the precious metals. So what does that mean to the gold mining stocks, which is a derivative of the commodity with a higher beta associated with it? It should potentially be a tailwind for whether it's GDX, GDXJ, or the 2X bull and bear versions of those that we have. So it could be a continued tailwind for gold miners. Look at gold. It's rallied significantly when you think about it in an environment that's been risk on for the most part. So right. What happens if we start seeing a risk off environment? What happens if the Fed actually decreases rates more? Gold might be more that preferred flight to safety, even more so as a result of if rates go lower. So I look at gold miners right now. They're approaching overbought territory again based on RSI. They were there for an extended period of time a couple of months ago. So I'd be very careful with this trade because it's been a great trade all year for the most part. You got to monitor these day to day anyway on leverage products, but the trend right now continues to be higher for the gold miners and junior gold miners. The one interesting thing is with Bitcoin, and we can talk about that a little later, breaking below 90,000, some key support levels. Let's see if it trades below there for any extent of time. Don't be fooled. Bitcoin's not digital gold. It's a risk-on asset. We can talk about that a little bit as well.
No, you're absolutely right about that. We've actually discussed that. We've actually discussed Bitcoin being up or down as a risk indicator for us and whether or not we should be risk on or risk off for a particular session. So completely in alignment with you there. Okay, we talked a little bit about Tesla here earlier. I did notice that Tesla, the stock itself, is actually up 1.5% now. It's actually a little bit higher here in the pre-market.
Why don't we have board seats, Ryan, on that? Did you see
well, I was thinking the same thing. How do you and I get on the board there and get paid out with all this money? I mean, that would be something else. Man, oh man. Now, all jokes aside here, Tesla sure looks like this is going to try and break and go higher here. Of course, another one of the highly traded ETFs and talked about ETFs, at least in our program here, starting with TSLL. This is your levered 2X bull product on Tesla. This too looks like this is going to trade higher here. Are you seeing anything on Tesla? And yeah, if you get an invite to the board, don't forget about me, boss.
No, I definitely won't. It's a partnership, Ryan.
There we go.
But in terms of TSLL, it continues to be our most popular leverage and inverse single stock ETF because of Musk and how polarizing the stock is. And people love to trade off the headlines, and Tesla certainly doesn't lack those. It's just interesting, though, with Tesla. It's the best Mag 7 performer this month. And look at the announcement it made last week, U.S. sales at 4-year lows. So certainly nobody's focusing on its EV business too much because the valuations don't make sense as a car company. So it's a story stock. It continues to be on full self-driving cars, the robo-taxis, and I believe Optimus, the robot as well. So a lot of AI and robotics related when it comes to Tesla. We're seeing, for the most part, some outflows recently in TSLL. Why? Because the stock's up over 100% from its lows at the beginning of April when it was down about 45% for the year. So we have net inflows in TSLL for the year. It was the majority of it was at the beginning of the year, the first couple of months of the year, where the stock pulled back. And then we saw massive inflows. Last couple of months, some profit taking on the bull upward ride. So we're seeing some outflows in TSLL, some inflows, albeit sparingly, in the inverse 1X Tesla TSLS.
Okay, interesting. And I'll tell you what, I know you've talked about these having to be short-term vehicles, but that TSLL is still up more than 100% from that low at the beginning of the year that you talked about. And yeah, I mean, it is weird to see these delivery numbers and these EV numbers come in lower and lower, yet the stock keeps climbing. I think Elon Musk probably helped himself by saying that an Optimus robot can follow people around and stop crime before it happens. I'll believe that when I see it. But I mean, hey, that might play into some of the trades there as well. Okay. Holiday season. We are in it. Next week are you done with your Christmas shopping? Can you believe how fast Christmas came up on us this year? It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Just snuck right up on us. And thank God for gift cards, and thank God you can order stuff online, because guys like myself, and even whoever it is, women, men out there that tend to focus on the last minute and save everything for the last minute. Thank God you could avoid the lines if you wanted to, and you could go online there. So
yeah. Now, so speaking of, I am totally with you. I mean, I'm the guy that's at the store right when it opens, so that I don't have to deal with lines. And yeah, I've ordered plenty of gift cards online and had them delivered electronically. So I'm 100% with you. Now, the one thing that I want to see if I can get from you here. Are you seeing any signals on the consumer strength one way or another this season? I know you and I have talked about RETL, the retail ETF, and then WANT, the other one, the consumer discretionary. Are you seeing any flows in one direction or another that gives you an opinion on how the consumer is doing this holiday season?
Well, certainly you see XRT and XLY, which is the S&P Retail Select Sector Index, and also the consumer discretionary on the S&P non-leveraged. So you're seeing those rally a bit this month, but I think the jury's still out. Lululemon rallied last week. I think it was more as a result of the CEO change and organizational change than anything else. And look at Costco. It's been struggling a lot also. They reported earnings last week. So I think the jury's still out on it, whether or not it's going to be coal in the stocking, or it's going to be a real home run for the retailers and consumer discretionary stocks. But the consumer is slowing down a little bit, but we'll see the holiday number results. It's still early, but thus far, it seems like a positive sign with what's going on with the retail stocks. So we'll see on that. I think also interest rates continuing to drop could help also. People feel a little more comfortable, more to spend. Less debt to pay off in terms of the interest rates if rates keep going down. So if you're borrowing on that credit card, like I know I am this holiday season. So.
No question. I put everything on the credit card around holiday season. I deal with the bills when they're due, and then I reap the reward points when those come in. So I'm with you on that too. We'll see how this all shakes out. Okay, now you touched on it a little bit, but let's land the plane here talking about Bitcoin a little bit with the risk on, risk off. We talked about Bitcoin breaking beneath the 90K mark. The last time that you were on with us, we talked about ConX, I believe. I got to spell it correctly here. We talked about ConX. That's the bull, 2X bull ETF on Coinbase. I think we also talked about HODU. Did I get that right? Yeah, that's the hood bull. So what are you seeing in these two?
Well, we're seeing some interest there. Certainly the crypto-related stocks in general have a lot of interest too. It's a good buy play off the crypto itself, the Bitcoins and the Ethereum. So we're seeing a lot of activity there, especially on pullbacks, people buying on the dip there. We also have your two favorite, which is just the basket of crypto-related stocks. I love these symbols. 2X Bull is Lambo, LMBO, and the 1X Bear is REC, REKT. So those are some other ways to play that as well. That has Coinbase, has Robinhood within it, has Block within it as well. So it's a way to play the basket of the crypto-related stocks. But I think, as I mentioned, Bitcoin's the poster child for risk-on environment. It needs to hold support here. It's interesting that you need also the market breadth to broaden out in terms of beyond the tech and AI and Mag 7 to see the health of this market. And the U.S. market's been up now. It's going to be, if it holds here, 3 years in a row. So you've had, some 3 years of gains here, particularly in the large cap space in the U.S. And if the Fed decides not to continue to cut rates, I think some of it was baked in the cake for more rate cuts next year. You may see the market sell off on that news if it happens. And then complacency. I hate to say it, the VIX can't even break 20. I mean, it's a lot of people right now, continue to be complacent. And I think what happens when too many people are complacent, it tends to come back.
Market likes to punish as many people as it can. So, Ed, it doesn't matter what side it is. When it feels like everybody is on one side of the boat, it might be time that thing capsizes, and hopefully we're able to avoid that. Okay. Ed, really good stuff. Ed Egilinsky, Managing Director, Head of Global Sales and Distribution and Alternatives at Direxion. The folks
Happy
at
holidays,
Direxion,
a healthy one for everybody.
Folks at Direxion do a wonderful job. Healthy holidays. But look, Ed, we're going to need you back early next year, okay? We've got rate cuts that we just talked about here today. We got to determine what the consumer is doing. We might have a sell-off. Got to have you back. Give us a lay of the land on where people are positioning. If I don't see you before Christmas, have a wonderful holiday with you and your family. Thanks again for all the time you give us.
Healthy and happy to everybody.
All right, Ed Egilinsky, everybody. Really good stuff from Direxion. Again, we use those ETFs all of the time, and we will continue to do that. And yeah, he was right. Lambo, Rect, those are two of my favorite tickers anywhere in the market. So really awesome stuff. And Gio, you're absolutely right. Ed is awesome. Not only does he know his stuff, but man, he comes prepared with a list of, I think everything we've talked about over the past couple of months, we just touched on, whether it's AI, Tesla, the metals. I know Lion Atlas was happy about that. All of that stuff. Ed stays on top of it. He gives us insight into where traders are rotating. We will take that any chance we get. Really good stuff. Okay, now Ed's departure leaves room for 13. Let's bring him on. 13, good morning. Happy Monday. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I had half a good of a weekend. How are you?
Half a good of a weekend. I am doing excellent. It is a victory Monday for me here today. I'm stoked about that. Are you just referring to the Packers and the...
That's the back half that wasn't so great.
Yeah. Well,
lots of injuries, another loss. That's just kind of been our season. We lose players in a game, we lose the game. That's just how it's been.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, injuries are the worst. It's part of football. You never wish that on anybody, including your rivals. Got a big week coming up here. Big week coming up to Saturday. So we'll see how it goes. But okay. What do you want to dive into here starting off?
Let's get these movers.
Look at the fist pump here. I think we're going to start with RadX, aren't we?
Yeah,
probably. All right, let's go ahead and flip over to the movers workspace. We're actually doing really good here on time for a Monday morning, not behind the gun here on a Monday. We'll take that. All right, your first mover on the list is going to be ticker ARDX. We're going to call it RadX here. This is Radiopharm Theranostics. That's the name of the company. Stock is up 236%. That is... You are not seeing it wrong. We had a huge pop that went up towards 27. We came back here. We're actually using the VWAP as resistance, but we're also being supported by the 15 EMA. We're just going to carry through what we talked about last week. It's worth noting that your 65 EMA on the 5 is down there at 950. So that will definitely represent a support level if this continues to pull back. But what's going on, you say? I'm glad you asked. Radiopharm Theranostics interim data for the first 12 patients in its U.S. Phase 2B imaging trial of RAD 101 in brain metastasis. Metastasis showed 9. Sorry about that. I am embarrassing myself every time I try to pronounce these, even when I think I'm doing a good job. Showed that 92% of the patients achieved concordance with the MRI. So you're getting pretty good data here out of a phase 2B imaging trial. The stock's up 230% here in the pre-market, as we just looked at on the chart there. It's actually struggling to get through its VWAP here in the pre-market. We'll see if it's able to do that in the regular session. It's got almost negligible short interest here. 0.53% of the float shorted with 2.17 days to cover. That comes on a very paltry 26,000 shares of average volume. Today we've traded just shy of 15 million. Float here is 6.3 million. 13, what do you think here on RADX?
Well, this is an Australian company that so they only are reporting a couple times a year, but they do have cash runway that goes into mid 2026. So don't think that there is an immediate need for them to raise capital right now. As far as the news goes, this is like you said, phase 2B, and they do have a whole bunch of other trials going on as well for other devices that are focused on you know tumors and cancer related imaging. So this one is the furthest one along. They're in their phase 2, as you said. All the other ones that I was looking at on their pipeline, they're either in preclinical or in phase 1. So this is the furthest one along. They're going to need to raise cash at some point. Doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon, as I pointed out with their cash runway.
Right.
So it's great news. 92% of the patients that were scanned, they found the brain metastasis in there. So that's great news. It shows that the technology works. As far as the stock goes, we are losing VWAP here in the pre-market, and we have a couple of levels to the downside where it could provide support, but it still looks like the momentum's carrying it lower. Right now, you have $12 as the next area of support. I'm not sure I would lean too heavily on that. You have the 65 EMA beneath that at 967. That might provide some better support, although I wouldn't necessarily expect a reversal and going back up to these 2696 highs that it made in the pre-market here. If we are going to reverse and recapture VWAP, there's a couple of levels to keep an eye on the way back up, and that's going to be for me 17 and 18. Those two levels, maybe 1875. But right in that 18 handle, I think that's going to where you're going to find the most resistance if you get support from VWAP, or if it turns back up and tries to recapture some of these levels.
Okay, really good stuff there. X Sniper here from the chat says RadX looks done, and I can see why you're saying that, right? We had the huge impulse move. Now we've kind of made a series of lower highs. I will say that this 1680-ish area, let's call it 1675 to 1680 right up there. Would really love to see the price get above that. It's actually already tried to do that once and was unable to. So we'll see about VWAP. We talked about that. We'll see if it finds some support here. This does kind of look like it's going to roll over and challenge the bottom end of that range down at about 1250.
It could, and it looks like it could just continue to sink into the open. But once the market opens, it could turn around. It could do a lot of different things. So I think with this one, you probably just want to wait for it to show you what it's going to do next. And right now, it's kind of going sideways, trying to go above and below the VWAP right now. So sideways into the open, it looks like so far.
Okay, that is RadX. Now, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball because I know when we talk about the movers, we generally talk about the stocks that are gapping up. But there happens to be one here that is gapping down that I think we should at minimum cover here because we talked about it a lot last week. We traded it last week. Had some news here this morning on it. It's, of course, going to be iRobot. That's ticker IRBT, maker of the Roomba here. Stock closed yester week, I guess I should say, closed on Friday at about 433. Now, we did get news of a potential bankruptcy here. That's driving the stock lower. iRobot announces company's secured lender and key supplier, PCA, to acquire iRobot through a court-supervised Chapter 11 process. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is, A, I want you to know what's going on with it. But B, it looks like, man, this thing is already traded up 50 cents off of the lows. And then, of course, C, remember, when we get some of these bankruptcy headlines, sometimes they actually have a trade before all of that materializes. So this is what's going on with iRobot. This is what the chart looks like. I'm going to take a quick look here at the short interest 13, but I think what I'd like to try and convey here is there a potential bounce, short-term bounce trade to be had on the back of this bad news? Let's take a quick look at the short interest. On it, 63.27% of the float is short with 7.35 days to cover. Now, there is high short interest, but the stock's down 71%. So let's not have any illusion about what's going on. Those that are holding this stock short, they're winning here today. I think the question becomes, do all of these cover up or do they wait for this to actually go to zero? Now, average volume here, 14.58 million. Today it's traded 40 million already. Float on this one is 22.3 million. So 13, give me your best gut opinion on IRBT here today.
So I did read the news about this, and I didn't go a whole lot beyond that and look at anything under the hood because I didn't really think there was a need to. I think a lot of what's going to be we're going to be wanting to focus on is was in some of these news stories about how Pycia is going to be acquiring all of their debt, and I think it's in exchange for 100% equity. Excuse me, 100% equity of the company. In which case, they're going to roll that debt off, and then they'll become the owner of the company. So I think, I mean, that's just here and there pieces of the story. But I think we're not going to see the end of iRobot. It might just be absorbed into this company and become something else. They might keep it on the market. I don't know. But the thing is that this is Chapter 12. It's not going to necessarily be going away as much as it is being restructured, so it can come back. So with that in mind, maybe there is a trade here that lifts this back up. Looking at the chart, I would say that if there's going to be some upside, the first stop is going to be the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's going to be the first one. And if you get past that, then I would say the psych level 2 is next. I don't know. I don't really have high hopes for this because it's still really early in this, and you might get some short squeezing. I just couldn't tell you how much it's going to short squeeze or where it's going to go. But let's just stick with the levels that we know. We know that the 65 and the 200 EMAs have been areas of support and resistance that have caused bounces and reversals. So we can look at those, as well as the key psychological levels like at $2 and $3. So those would be the next areas I'd be looking at if we're going to get some kind of squeeze that takes us up here with iRobot.
Yeah. Okay. So my thought on this one is be careful. Know what you're trading. If you play with fire, you may get burned. And that's kind of how I feel about all of these bankruptcy stocks, even if we watch some of them scream to the upside after releasing some of that news. Yeah, you may get a bounce here, but frankly, I'll probably look for something else that doesn't have this entire thing hanging over it. A couple of different opinions here from the chat. Zach McCracken saying iRobot is going private, so I don't think trading it is a sensible idea. Even if that ends up being the case, it's possible that the stock just bounces here today. So one of the things we're talking about are short intraday trades here. I don't advise anybody.
Izzy said months ago, or saying that they said months ago they were in trouble, and I think they were in trouble since that Amazon deal fell through.
Yeah, I think
so. Right. After that, when that didn't go their way, they had a much higher valuation. They started taking on more debt. Things got out of control, and now they're worth less than the debt that they have. So,
absolutely. And I mean, the cynic in me says, man, as soon as you saw these things getting stuck under furniture and radiators, you should have known that this wasn't something that was going to take off. I mean, that's happened years ago. These robots are really all not that great. And I challenge anybody that has a robot vacuum. I'd go around my place and manually do it with the Dyson. I guarantee you I get more of that stuff off the carpet than your little robot does. That's for sure. Lion here, not holding anything back. Trash is trash. It always smells bad. And as a result, I'm not touching.
I personally don't think there's it's worth the risk.
Me too.
I know people feel compelled to trade it, and that's
me too.
I don't think it's worth the risk.
So again, just kind of in line with trying to present you both sides here. That's what we're doing. I am in the same side here as Zach and Lion and 13. To me, this is an avoid. If you're looking for action here, IRBT might be in play here today. Just know what's going on here. Don't be disillusioned by anything else out there. Okay, let's get back to the gainers list here. Take a look at our next stock, which happens to be QIPT. And I think this is a buyout with nothing going on. Okay, so we don't really need to cover anything here. I'm basically just going to run through it. There's no trade here. Quipt Home Medical announces it's entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by a special purpose acquisition vehicle for $3.65 a share. The stock is $3.54 a share. That's it.
Go to IMG because this was have to switch.
You're good. You're good.
This one was one of the movers, and it just absolutely got hammered once it hit 285. And they're trying to keep pushing out this news about how they have a $106.5 million contract with China Commercial Bank, but there is something else that is pulling this down. So just be careful. Know what exactly this is you're trading. And I was going to talk about this one a little bit, but I don't think I need to now because it kind of did all the work for me. So
Now, this thing pretty much came back in. There's really no trade going on with QIPT. So, okay, good stuff there. I'm going to move on to something that is still moving here.
there we go.
This is going to be ticker KYTX. This is Kyverna Therapeutics. Stock has made multiple moves here in the pre-market. The other thing that I'm encouraged with here is that we actually have multiple pockets of higher volume. So I'm hoping that that type of behavior then carries into the regular session and gives us some other trading opportunities here. Reported on Sunday, Kyverna prepares to announce top-line registrational phase 2 data for one of its drugs there in stiff person syndrome. I think I know a few people that have that. Go on to say release top-line data from its phase 2 trial of one of its drugs I'm not even going to try for stiff person syndrome. Mivcell achieves statistically significant clinical benefit across all primary and secondary endpoints. Okay, a couple of things here real quick. And first of all, this is absolutely good news. The market's telling you that it's good news. Stock's trading up by 40% here today. The other thing is that if you're looking to use keywords to filter your Benzinga Pro for news headlines such as this one, pay attention to this headline here, because when you strip out some of the crazy drug names, there's a couple of keywords here that I think are really good for you. Statistically significant clinical benefit, and then all primary and secondary endpoints. This is all really, really good stuff. And you see a lot of these words get used when companies release data like this. You can actually set your news feed up to filter for just these types of pieces of news, and you can set alerts on those. So pretty cool side note there. 13, given the actual stock here, we have, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing there. Sorry about that. We've had a couple of moves here in the pre-market. We actually look like we have a series of higher highs and higher lows, which is pretty good. I know we've got this one big pullback here, but that looks like just kind of a reaction. We'll see what happens in the regular session. Short interest in this, 13.9% of the float shorted with 6.36 days to cover. And that's on an average volume of 696,000 shares. So the days to cover meets our high criteria. The percent of float shorted gets close, but not quite there. 13, what do you think of the stock with a float of about 25 million shares?
If I had more time to go through this, I think I might find some more interesting things about this company. I think, there's some fast track designation assigned to some of these drugs. That's why I said I need to go more time to go through this. But I think might be some really interesting things happening with this company with regard to some other trials that they're doing. They do have this very same KYV 101 candidate in another phase. It looks like I'm not going to even try to pronounce it, but
yeah, exactly.
There's more to this than just the news today. So unfortunately, I didn't go deep enough into this to really find all that out. But it looks like they have enough cash on hand to continue their sizable cash burn for in this instance at least another quarter before they have to dig into short-term investments and turn those into cash. So it looks like they're going to be okay with cash. As far as where this goes today, it's coming up to some resistance around 1275. Let's see if if there's been a point where we've been higher than that. There has been. And 1275 appears to have some pretty significant sideways consolidation back from last year. So I would think I'd be looking at that consolidation area. That's going to be from about $12 to 17, looks like about 1760. That area in there could feature a lot of back and forth, or we might just completely get rejected in that area altogether. But we're up at the bottom of that section right now. If we get more volume, we could push into it. So I would say that that whole area from about May of 2024 until we had this drop in June of 2024, that's going to be the supply zone that the price is going to try to push into.
Just out of curiosity, what do you make of this like kind of rounding bottom, almost cup formation that goes back to that support area that you outlined? I think you're exactly right with your 1275 price, by the way. But if we get back above this here, does that actually kind of look pretty good for you to maybe make some more up moves if we can get above and close?
It certainly looks like it's recovering, but just keep in mind that this company doesn't have revenue. So I don't know how it's going to recover and continue to come back up without having to raise cash, or maybe they. I don't know how this is going to recover from those levels that it was at before, where it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
This without revenue, I don't know how that's going to.
Okay, it looks pretty good. It looks like the bottoming formation is in there, so I just wanted to get an opinion on that. But really good stuff. Really quick here, X Sniper asking. I didn't cover this. I'm sorry about that. X Sniper saying, does KYTX have any reverse splits? Well, let's use Pro to find that out. I don't have anything listed here.
No, I don't either.
No reverse splits or any splits for that matter. So good question, X Sniper. It's an answer that Benzinga Pro is going to be able to give you all the time. But really good stuff there. I also, 13, I drew a trend line here across the tops. I did cut that middle one down a little bit, but this basically gives us a 13 target if we do break that 1275 that I think jumps off a little bit more. So, okay, Jay, we're going to get to IMNM here in just a second. Yes, I will shout out David Prince because he's awesome. Next here real quick, another robot stock, AMC Robotics. Stock is still up 28.5%, although it is down considerably from its highs. I don't see any news on this one, so maybe just kind of a little bit of a trade pump newsletter type thing. I don't know. Quick peek at the short interest, nothing there. 0.04% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That is basically nothing. Stock on average trades just shy of 1 million shares. Today it's traded 7 million shares. 13, do you have any opinion here on AMCI? And really quick, while you give that, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Yes. So this was a SPAC. We talked about this one. They finally merged. At least that's what because it used to be ATMB, I believe, and then they merged with this company, and now they're trading publicly. So I think that's what it is. And man, where did this come from here? This thing de-SPACed already, it looks like, or it's starting to. Came right back down from the $10 area. This was going, when it was a SPAC, it was going back and forth, but finally came back in. So that's really what it is here that I'm seeing. It's just a SPAC that's kind of de-SPACing right now. Looking at Momentous, that it effectuated a 1 for 17.85. That's an interesting number for reverse stock split that will become effective on December 17th. Well, thank you, EKS. That gives us something to look forward to for Wednesday. And let's take a look at. I'm going to look at MTNS while he's doing that. Okay, so we're trading under $1. Never like to see that. So when you'll have to do the math, but that's going to lift it back over $1 by then. And then after they do the reverse split, I would anticipate that a capital raise is coming. Let's look at their finances. Oh yeah, a balance sheet doesn't look like it has barely anything on it, and they still burn through millions a quarter. So that's what's happened. That's what I think is going to be happening with MNTS if with that reverse split happening. On December 17th, that's going to change the share structure again. And then once you have it above the dollar for NASDAQ compliance, then you can raise capital. I'm assuming that's what's going to end up happening here with MNTS following the reverse split.
Oh, sorry. I was a little bit late there, 13. Here's your MNTS chart. Here's the move down. That's fine. We were just, when we were talking about the one you pulled up there, that was because it was a SPAC. Remember that was the one that was AVMT or anyway, it's something like that. It was a SPAC, it merged, and it's de-SPACing pretty quick here. Not this one, the other one we're talking about. Yeah, that's AMCI. Yeah. So, okay, sorry, I was a little bit late on that. Appreciate you covering those. Okay, really quick here. We'll do GLSI in a sec. I did really quickly want to tie IMNM together here. This is actually popping here. Real quick, just as a reminder here, Jay reminding us, you guys have David Prince on from T3 quite a bit this year. This is his baby. Jay here trimming some this morning. That means that you're going to get a register ring here. Indeed, David Prince has talked, I think every time we've brought him on, we've asked him about IMNM here. Stock is up 20.5% here today. Immunome announces registrational trial met its primary endpoint. There's that key word again. with a drug that I'm not going to try to pronounce, significantly improving progression-free survival versus placebo. So more phase 3 trial results here, popping the stock, holding higher here by 20.5%. This actually looks pretty good here today. Quick peek at the short interest on this. It has something. 17.35% of the float shorted. That's substantial. Not above our 20% threshold, but still notable and substantial. And 14.42 days to cover. That is absolutely high short interest. On average, the stock trades 1.5 million shares. It's done 1.43 prior to the market opening. The float's 88 million. But 13, what do you think here? Good data, high short interest. We had a pop here in the morning. This is what your daily chart looks like. What do you think on IMNM here today?
It looks like it still might come back into the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. And the reason I say that is because we're gapping up today. And if we end up coming back down to fill that gap, the gap fills down around at the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. We've already lost VWAP. Looks like to me the next area of support is going to be where we got it earlier around 23. You have this 65 EMA right beneath that at about 2250, 2254 looks like the number. And then you have the 200 EMA, which is where that gap is being created today. It's going to end up filling. So that's kind of what I could see happening. It's going to be dependent on how the volume goes with this. But it seems to me like this is going to probably end up coming back in if it can't get that support from the $23 level. If we lose 23, we'll look at 65 EMA. I just have this feeling we're going to come right back into the 200 before we turn around and trade back up. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Be great if we did, but you look at the daily chart, this thing is getting to be pretty extended, and it looks better, like a better chart than what we were looking at earlier, where it came down and started turning back up. I think this company actually has. Let me see if this actually has revenue. They used to. They didn't report any last quarter, so that's not great. But that's kind of what I'd be looking at here with this one. I think that there's a bit more of a downside risk to fill the gap than pushing higher into some more of the supply zone up from March last year.
Okay. Well, first of all, I also think then that the register ring that Jay made here this morning, probably a good move. You're talking about the stock being extended, been on a recent run, had a little pop here. Maybe the chart tells us we come back in and close that gap. Good job taking some gains on that impulse move that actually went up towards like 29.5. So actually 6 points higher than where we're at now.
It doesn't really have a bad looking pattern, but being beneath VWAP and coming so close to some of these support levels that if they fail is going to lead to more downside. That's a concern I have. If we can recapture VWAP going into the open, well, maybe this turns up. But
yeah,
I still think there's a downside risk to this.
To your point here, real quick on the chart, we also have this volume kind of compressing. Since that impulse move, that volume's compressed. Frankly, if this is going to turn around like you're outlining there, it's probably going to need the volume to participate in that, and we should be able to monitor that and see if that happens. Really quickly, I know there is some dispute here. I don't have any splits or reverse splits listed for IMNM per Benzinga Pro. So that does not look like that is what's driving this here. And actually, I'm looking in Thinkorswim, and they generally have little icons overlaid on their chart for that type of thing. And I don't see that as well in my broker. So maybe we turn around here. IMNM. We are beneath the VWAP. We'll see if we recapture any of those moving averages. Yeah.
30-cent spreads going into the open here. Just be careful.
Yeah, 30 cents. And Jay's outlining here, it's been on a huge move. From May, it went from 5 to 25. So pretty good move there. All right. Did we cover everything? I think MIST is MIST. This was the only other one that I think. Oh, no, GLSI. I said I was going to come back to that. All right. MIST. This is Milestone Pharmaceuticals. I'll do this quick here, 13. I know we're running out of time. We had a initial pop that took us up to about 376. It came back, lost the VWAP. It's actually went a little bit lower. And look at this. Went towards that 65 EMA on the 5, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, ribcage shot with the elbow. But also 282 is that value. Maybe it'll find some support there. Maybe it'll curl back up to the VWAP. Let's take a look and see what the news was on this one. Monday, I have reported Friday, Milestone wins FDA approval from Cardamist, a first self-administered nasal spray for, I'm going to try this one, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia.
All right.
All right, I did. It wasn't a complete botch. Anyway, it had FDA approval for one of its nasal sprays here. That's why the stock's higher here today. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 8.68% of the float shorted with 1.75 days to cover. Comes on an average 100-day volume of 2.6 million. Today it's done 17.5 million. Float on this one's a little bit thicker, up at 85 million, but 13. Do you have any thought on MIST?
Well, I'm just going to go with the chart here because I need more time to look through this. And I do remember this one from years ago. This was brought to my attention by, you remember her, Miss Izzy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this one, she brought to my attention a long time ago, back in 2020. I haven't really looked at it since. But it's getting some support down from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute here. And we're starting to turn back up. VWAP I have at 318. So that's we're going to have to see get recaptured if we're going to put in some higher prints here. But it's looking like it's curling back up. So I think that you're going to find some resistance. It looks to me like at about $3. We're coming up to there right now. And if we get past $3, VWAP's the next hurdle. I think if we get back past both of those, even with some of the other resistance in the way from previous levels looking to the left, I think that the recapture of VWAP is going to help get us up to some new session highs. So we'll see if that ends up happening. We want to see this start recapturing some of these smaller EMAs like the 9 and the 15 after getting some support down here. So if it turns up into the open, we might see this continue to rise out of the gate.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on MIST. And Parmesan saying it basically means when you're in VTAC and on the brink of full arrest, it intervenes. I'm glad that you guys are here to tell us this because I'll be honest, a lot of this medical stuff goes in one ear, out the other, with the exception of several key words that I know are moneymakers. Appreciate that, Parmesan, MIST. Okay, last one here on the movers list. I'll be very quick about it. Then I want to get Jay Harris. We will get to Broadcom, and I'll ask 13 for those levels. And we talked about that with Direxion, so we'll do that here in a sec. But really quickly, GLSI. Here is a stock. This is Greenwich Life Sciences. Gosh, I feel like we've traded this one before, but I can't place what the catalyst was. Nonetheless, stock closed around 1073 last week. Today in the pre-market on volume, we did pop above 27, but as you can see, huge pullback, almost completely round tripping the move, frankly. We are beneath VWAP with really no recent attempt to try and take that VWAP over. So we want to see if that materializes here. Greenwich Life Sciences reports early Flamingo 01 results showing an 80% reduction in cancer reoccurrences. Now, I will say that headline there sounds pretty good. A preliminary analysis of recurrence rates by 2 methods to estimate the reduction in recurrence rates shows approximately 80% reduction in recurrence rate in the fully enrolled 250 patient non-HLAA arm of the Flamingo 01 trial. This arm does not have a direct placebo comparator arm. Thus, these 2 methods were used. So, okay, that's what's going on here. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 25.2% of the float shorted with 27 days to cover. This absolutely fits the high short interest criterion in both metrics that we look at here. That comes on an average 100-day volume of under 100,000 shares at 81,000. Today it's traded 2.1 million, float 6.3 million. 13, what do you think, GLSI?
I trying to understand this insider buying. It seems like that's all they do. I mean, this has a high short interest, high days to cover, so that's great for upside. But I really would want to know more about why the director, CEO, and CFO is always buying this stock. What is the angle here? I mean, is it really going to be that great? He's been buying it for seems like a long time, but it really hasn't gone anywhere in the entire time that he's been buying it. It's like pretty much been sideways or lower. So, I mean, we talk about how, insider buys are generally viewed as positive, but when you see this entire list of just him buying it, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, or if that speaks to you in any way, but yeah, I guess I would have a lot more questions than I really would have answers.
My knee-jerk reaction on this, 13, and you know what? This might be something I'll email Tim Melvin about, because this is actually a really good example. And Tim Melvin has given great insight on insider transactions on both directions here. So let me actually just take note of this really quick. Here's what I would say, just my knee-jerk reaction. This guy believes in his company long-term.
Mm-hmm.
And now what does that mean for the short term? I can't deduce that. Is he going to be correct? Shit, I don't know. But sure seems like by loading up on all of this, trying to get it at a really reduced price, I would imagine that this person sees this as being a big mover at some point in the future. Again, that is just speculation. You ask very fair questions about this, but to me, it seems like this gentleman here, Snehal Patel, CEO, what was his full title here? CEO and CFO. Very, very bullish outlook on his own stock. That's how I would read it. I will ask Tim Melvin and see if there's anything else I can garner from that. But really good breakdown. That's what's going on here, GLSI.
Yeah, it's just that, when you look at how many shares he has, he's got a lot. I mean, he's got 5.5 million shares out of an outstanding share of 13.3. He owns almost half the company.
Yeah, and to me, if you're going to do that I don't see any other way to take that. If you own half of the company, you think that this company is going to do something great at some point in the future. I have a tough time reading anything else other than that. Frozen King wants to remind you that this CEO has more shares than CEO.
That's why I was laughing.
So that's a good point here. But look, without more information, that's kind of how I would look at it, honestly. That's kind of how I would look at it there. So, okay.
So I don't know for a trade, but I mean, maybe if you want to follow this guy, that's up to you.
Yeah. One more thing to just kind of note as like a generality here. I know we talked about some of the pot move late last week when the Trump administration is going to look for rescheduling of marijuana. Some of those stocks are gapping a little bit here today. I don't really think there's anything else new. YCBD, CGC pushing 2 here. So that's what's going on here. But I'm going to flip over to the main workspace here. Jay Harris wanted to get some levels on Broadcom. So
all right,
if you don't mind, 13, I'm going to go ahead and flip over to Broadcom. Sorry. Let me I'm going to queue this up here because I want to add any drawings that we might do, but I'm actually going to go to the bigger chart because A, it's easier to see. And 2, if we're talking about levels, some of them might have to do with the regular moving averages. We happen to be sitting at 1 or near 1 right now. Here's what I got on Broadcom. Now, we've talked about this one really kind of running into their earnings sprint. That's not been good for companies that report earnings. They often trade down. We have traded down, but it looks like we're kind of battling with the 50-day moving average. I've got that at 362.43. Current stock price here is 340. It is worth noting that the last time that we dropped beneath this 50-day moving average, it did take a couple of days, but this did mark the near-term bottom. I would say that a next support level is down here at 340, but 13, what do you have here for Broadcom levels today?
Today, it's going to have to be new because the level I was looking for when I was talking about it last week was 360. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we've come down to we even traded a little bit lower on Friday beneath that level. So we've already hit the level I was talking about last week. So looking forward here, to me, I mean, we could certainly draw a line at 350 and see what happens there. That's been an area of support and resistance going back since September. So I would think that that's going to be one next. You have, I would say also 330 could be another level. That's where the last time we traded beneath the 50-day SMA, we found support at that area. And then you have a gap fill to the downside. I would say beyond that, you do have some support. It looks like down in the 320s, but I don't know how much I would lean on that versus like 330. At 330 seems like that's a little bit of a stronger level, but you have that 325, 330, 350 would probably be the next downside levels prior to the gap fill. And then you have the 200-day SMA, which takes us under 300, which hopefully we don't get that low. But I have a long-term prospect on this. I think this is going to do fine in over the course of the next year or two. So I'm not worried about this downside here today. And we're going to hold tech pullback after it had a really fantastic rally. I don't think that we're finished with that yet. We're just taking a bit of a breather.
Okay. And do we take a breather and recapture that 50? If we do it in short order, perhaps that would be a bullish sentiment on the chart here. We are right at that level, so pay attention to that. Tara here wants to ask, I want to ask a question about GLSI. If a person buys a large amount of shares and holds them, lessening the amount of shares that are available, will that cause the stock to rise? Now, I don't really want to play semantics here, but I want to be very clear. The person buying a large amount of shares and holding it, that generally is viewed as bullish here, but I don't think that them holding it necessarily is going to cause the stock to rise. I think what you're getting at there is, while more shares are being soaked up by insiders that are less likely to sell on fluctuations of the stock price, that then lowers the amount of available shares out there. So if anyone's buying, that's definitely going to drive it up here. Generally speaking, if the CEO is holding that many, they're bullish on their own stock. That's pretty much what I would take away from that. Okay, we're open.
All right, let's go.
We are open here today.
All right, so RadX still kind of going sideways out the gate here, trying to figure out if it's going to go higher or lower. IMG, this looks like this is getting rejected by the VWAP out of the gate here. Some shares, some sellers in the way here at 2, trying to walk this down. Volume increases, it could take those sellers out. iRobot is starting to make its way towards its 65 EMA. Remember the risk associated with this one. Maybe even don't trade this one. Actually, it just went into a halt. So don't even bother with that one right now. KYTX, this is trying to, so I have a trend line here that's, I started from the
iRobot really quickly, 13. That halt looks to be an upside halt.
Yeah,
so maybe we are getting that kind of bounce thing going on here. But anyway, keep going.
So KYTX, I drew a trend line here from the low of the pre-market. We're down at 858 and up through all the remaining lows going forward from that point. And this is going to kind of give me a bit of a guideline. If we start trading underneath this, I think that's going to help lead to more downside. So we want to kind of hold above this, and now we're starting to lose it. So if we can't hold above it here in this current candle, I think we might be getting an early signal that this is trying to go lower.
Yeah, this thing's spread here by just about 10 cents too. So I think this is still figuring out what direction it wants to move.
Big drop out of the gate for IMNM.
And Tesla, the opposite, this ripping out of the gate here, actually seeing a lot of call flow on this as well. These are the monthly calls that expire this Friday. A lot of them being traded here on Tesla in varying sizes.
Volume seems pretty thin in a lot of these.
I'm expecting kind of a thin volume just overall this week. I know we've got the Bank of Japan decision coming at the end of the week here. Next week is the truncated Christmas week. I do kind of feel like folks are on holiday mode, so I wouldn't be terribly shocked if we saw a low volume kind of across the way there. Tesla continuing to see upside call sweeps here.
Yeah, looking at, okay, so there goes Mist losing the 65 EMA. Yeah, none of these are, okay, so I think we might just want to give ourselves a little bit of time here and see what happens out of the gate with some of these names, because so far it looks like they're all just kind of pulling right now. I don't have any positions. I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens here. Everything is just getting pulled down here, except GLSI. That's the only one that's slightly up. But
so the one with the insider buy is the only one that's slightly up. Interesting.
Yeah. RADX, that's pulling out of the gate. IMG, that pulled out of the gate. iRobot is halted to the upside out of the gate. KYTX down out of the gate.
That's down to its VWAP, by the way. I've got 1168 on KYTX. Looks like it's challenging that right now.
Everything down. Bitcoin also pulling beneath 90,000. I think I'd be just kind of waiting the morning out here a little bit. Meanwhile, Rocket Lab still gaining altitude, as is Planet Labs. Jesus, look at this thing go. Planet Labs 1968, the current high and all-time high. You look at the stock. Wow. The space watch list,
and Planet Labs actually above its high from Friday.
Yeah, all-time highs.
Yep.
And looks like it's a bit mixed with the space plays this morning. You have several that are down, some that are up. Satellogic is down. Momentous that we were talking about, that's down.
Really quickly, some more stocks that are down here. Netflix pulled down to the overnight lows. That's back beneath 95 now. Amazon has pulled and lost 225. Apple actually popped to 280 and immediately sold that back here. Palantir's higher out of the gate. Netflix, look out. We're still going lower on Netflix.
Yeah, all of these movers are just getting hammered right now.
Yeah, I think your mention to kind of wait out the open here Probably really smart, 13. Here, by the way, your YOU, look at this. Looks like a 42 test coming here. This is significant because this is the Friday intraday highs that we talked about last week. Actually, looks like this might try and go higher. What do you got?
You see the trend line from the intraday price action on Friday?
I sure do. These highs.
Yep. Take us
Sure
higher.
do.
Take us higher. I think that doesn't get us quite up to 43 yet, but it does give us a little bit something to shoot for here. It looks like we're gonna go right to that. I think this, if we hit it in this candle, it's gonna be at about 42.60.
Brian mentioned that the whole market is pulling, and indeed that's what I see on my screen too. SPY, NASDAQ, and Dow all pulling, all holding on to green. We'll see if we get a green to red move on this, but all of them still holding in the green here.
Yep. And if you could, and I don't know if you've got a clear enough chart, but something that I was pointing out on Friday when we were talking in the happy hour chat, I think it bears worth taking a look at. If you could take a look at the SPY on a monthly chart, I think that's going to illustrate pretty well just what we might be facing here. RADX now halted to
I was just going to say, but before I do that monthly chart for the SPY, RADX halted to the upside. Looks like maybe it's going to try and break out of that sideways range that it's going in. Here's your SPY chart. Let me flip over to the monthly. What do you got for us, 13?
So zoom in on the past several months. And if you can see that we, since the Liberation Day unwind, we had this nice reversal candle that took us all the way up there into now last month, we ended up with a reversal candle. So that could signal that there's some more downside ahead. And if that's the case, I think you could also maybe point out some of with your previous lines there. Like I think 673 that line that you broke out. Yeah. So that looks like the price that you might end up getting a move down to, on a monthly chart. Probably going in, not like this month, but maybe sometime in January or February. It looks like we could end up going down to those levels.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this is why we keep these price levels on. If we do start to maybe make a move down to those levels, we'll have them all pre-marked on our chart for next year when we do that. Going back to the main workspace here, also looks like BENF is halted here. Is that to the upside? I know this is one that we've traded here before. Yeah, it is, but it looks like that's been kind of volatile out of the open here.
iRobot is unhalted now.
Yep. 130. Remember, this is the bankruptcy headline.
65 EMA is the next resistance area. That's going to be at 152.
TSLL here. This is our Direxion Bull Tesla ETF. This is up a full point from the open here. We had Ed on this morning, seeing some more flow here. TSLL, been a really good trade for us. Netflix is trying to bounce. We'll see if other stocks try to do the same thing. Amazon working hard to try and reclaim 225.
iRobot halted to the upside again. Looks like KYTX is trying to recapture that trend line that I was using as a support level. It looks like IMNM is also trying to recover as well. That recaptured the 65 EMA, but still trading beneath the VWAP.
Really quickly here, the one thing to keep in mind on KYTX, this is, first of all, it is making a pretty decent move here, and we're back above the trend line that you had me draw on the bottom side there. But I will say, even when this starts to trade up here, it's actually quite lower in the list. It is not trading at super high volume like some of these other movers. Someone else had mentioned that the volume was not great on this earlier. KYTX.
Yeah, KYTX is trying to recapture that trend line. RGTZ is having a fantastic morning.
So Rigetti must be selling off then.
Oh yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you're selling off.
Look at this, straight down. Where's Barad at today? I'm surprised we don't have a short trade here being mentioned right out of the gate. The good mention here, 13, RGTI pounding lows and actually looking like, maybe this visits the lows from Friday at 25.
So it's coming down to a trend line that I have here. And if you want to draw it yourself, I used the March 17th high, drew it through the July 17th high. And when you keep that going, you can see that trend line has kind of given us a little bit of the price a bit of a floor. It did trade beneath it, but it seems to recapture it in a day or two. So this trend line has been pretty helpful for
Yeah, it sure has.
figuring out if the price is going to go higher or lower. But I feel like the more we hammer this trend line, the greater of a likelihood that it will fall through it and stay beneath it. So this was definitely worth keeping on there. And if we get, I would say maybe 3 closes beneath this, that could be the signal that this goes lower. Because every time it's traded beneath this, we've only had 2 closes beneath it. And then the third day, it just recaptures, it comes back up with a lot of volume.
Okay. Rigetti here. I actually did not have that trend line added, so appreciate that. Jay mentioning that Zillow is down here today. That's ticker Z. Indeed, Zillow down almost 10% here. Jay said you don't have any news on this. Zillow reveals the 10 most festive holiday towns in America. That's not what's moving it down. Yeah, Jay, I don't see any fresh news here for Zillow, but you're absolutely right. This down 7 points here right out of the open. I wonder, are we getting any other housing related stocks like Rocket to trade along with that? Let's take a look here. Rocket, this is also down out of the gate. I know Loan Depot, right? Ticker LDI. That's been another one that you folks have been short-term trading. That's also down almost 4% here today. So all of these housing related stocks look the same here, down out of the gate.
Got a lot of insider selling from Rocket. It's one guy. He's been selling since last month. I mean, it's substantial to some people, but to others, it's not. It's he's probably sold maybe a million and a half worth of shares, but.
RadX really quickly opened right near the highs of that formation, sunk, and now halted to a downside halt. This is right beneath the 15 EMA on the 5. Halted here 14.12 to the downside.
Yeah, miss continues lower. KYTX, this is trying to push back up to the over 1250. This is that 1250 area has kind of been a tough spot going into the open here, but if we get enough volume, it could push through that. I think this seller right here at 1242 might lead the way if we can get through him.
Okay, here is your KYTX. You know what's interesting here, 13, is that this is actually starting to tick up now in the amount of volume that it's trading. So maybe if we get above this 1250-ish, yeah, 1250 looks to be the next spot or area here for me. KYTX, no position on this. Now I have no short-term orders put out at all here today.
Yeah, that's
C mode for me.
Yeah, I think that 1250 is going to be the spot with KYTX. We'll see if it ends up taking it out. iRobot still halted. RedX still halted. IMNM. I'm going to mess that up all morning, aren't I?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So this, I guess we'll say it's $25, but this $25 level, this when you had the initial move up that took it up to $29.41, $25 was support, and then when we lost that, it became resistance, and it spent a couple of actually almost a half an hour trying to recapture $25, and it didn't work out. So here we are back up trying to recapture this. We'll see if we get enough volume to, but if not, then I think we start going back beneath the view up again.
AMCI, this is AMC Robotics. This is curling up. Looks like it's flirting with the $4 area. The buying volume looks pretty good here. The curl looks pretty good here. Let's see if we can get above 4 and 405. That 405 is going to be your 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
We'll see if we get anything here with KYTX. We're at that 1250 right now. Just need we need more volume to get through some of these levels here to take us higher. Looks like it wants to.
Yeah, there we go. So right there you go. Right as you said that, 13, it popped 30 cents right there up to about 1280. KYTX here, maybe going, I would put 13 as your next spot here. 13 as your next spot. We'll see what KYTX does here. It's actually not a bad move here. A little bit difficult, but we'll see if we get above 13 here. KYTX. Test is on. There's stock for sale there. Hold it off that spot. Maybe not strong enough on that first attempt.
Yeah, lots of names really just getting hammered this morning.
Yeah, to me, we talked a little bit about this. We actually talked with Ed about risk on versus risk off and looking at Bitcoin there. Bitcoin here still below 90,000. It does look like it's trying to bounce off to 89,000, but Still lower here on the day on Bitcoin, and it looks like that's bleeding over some other names. I know Ondas here is down. That's been a recent runner. And it's affecting all pockets here. Netflix at the lows, Apple at the lows. After a reversal, Apple actually tried to go higher here. Tesla looks like that stopped its move higher at 481, and that's pulled back a little bit. So it does look like there's a little bit of weakness here early on Monday.
Yeah, Zach, it's raining knives, like that one scene in 300 where they were shooting all the arrows. That's what it feels like right now. Opinion on U.S. debt. How can it be down? Just printing money or through Bitcoin policy? What?
I think what he's asking is how can the debt go down? And I don't know. I maybe rephrase the question. I'm not sure. As far as the latter part of this, my view on the U.S. debt, it's definitely a problem. It's one of the reasons they want interest rates to go lower. By the way, KYTX here, 13 test. They actually did take the huge seller that appeared there on the level 2. Might be some hidden stock there. They actually hit that. Looks like it traded above it a little bit. There's 13 again. And it looks like it stopped it again. So 13 still stopping KYTX. Sorry, 13.
No, yeah, I think it just seems like he's asking, is Bitcoin or crypto going to be one of the ways that the U.S. debt gets taken lower? And it might be. I don't necessarily know that it will. I think that's part of the plan with these stable coins is to kind of alleviate some debt that way. I don't know the entire plan with that, and I don't know if it'll work. Another way that has worked is to stop spending so much. But, there are a lot of programs that many Americans rely on that are just absolute debt traps. So it's unlikely that that's going to stop. You just kind of have to outgain some of the spending, I would say. I really don't know how crypto is going to solve that. But I think there are some plans with the Clear Secure Act and the Genius Act to try and get that under control. Just couldn't tell you exactly how that's going to pan out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely a problem. Stopping the waste and fraud is one thing, but outgaining it's absolutely going to be another. By the way, KYTX here. This is pushing above 13 now.
Fantastic. This is
This
has been the winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have 1465 as the pre-market high. That's probably the next area we're headed to, because I don't have a whole lot of price action in the pre-market prior to, after that or prior to that. So let's see here if there's anything on the daily chart that we can look at. Yeah, we're in that consolidation. I think I was pointing this out here from May to June when we were talking earlier. So we're still in that consolidation, working our way through it. Remember, that goes all the way up to 17 okay. And change. So let's go back here to the 5 minutes.
Still volatile here. I would say, just kind of looking at the action here, short-term trades, I would definitely use liquid moves up like that to maybe lock gains in. We've already seen this kind of turn around a little bit. It might happen again.
iRobot's trying to recapture the 65 EMA. I don't know if that's going to happen. We also have IMNM that reversed, recaptured some levels, trying to get back up above 25, but running into some resistance. Okay,
so it looks like this bounced at least a little bit there. We'll see if that rolls back over. TSLL here. This still at the high end of the scanner. This is trading on pretty good volume. Tesla actually looking like it might try and take out that 481 high. Tesla also on there. Worth mentioning Rivian having a little bit of follow through here. I know Rivian had a pretty decent day on Friday. Maybe we get back up to 1950. Ondas pull down here to 770. Looks like that was the low. It bounced right back up towards 8.
ARTV blasting off, says got motion 100K. Let's see what that looks like.
ARTV was the ticker.
Artiva Biotherapeutics. Doesn't look like there's any news today.
Looks like it traded up towards 5 there and stopped right shy of it. Yeah, I don't have any news on this. Do have some, looks like some Form 4 stuff from Friday.
Yeah, looks like Wedbush. I've also mentioned this one.
Looks like they were disposing of shares, right? All of these D codes in here.
Yeah, all their news is last month, it seems.
Yeah.
All right, so RadX halted to the downside. IMG, this one looks like it's going sideways for the moment, but could end up heading lower here pretty soon. iRobot not doing a whole lot right now. Must have been stuck underneath a radiator. IMNM is getting a little bit of pullback here after hitting 20 or getting close to 25. Did it hit 25?
Now,
Yeah, 25 exactly.
IMG more lows here as this looks like it's going to roll over. And that didn't feel great at all.
Folks mentioning ONDS.
Yeah, that's had a big pullback here out of the open, and I would give it with some of the risk off. I can see it. Here's what Ondis looks like in a 7 handle. I will say on the daily chart here, we actually now have a lower high if you're looking at the daily chart. So I think one of the things that you can do here, probably use another. There we go. I was going to say, why isn't the trend line working? Probably use another one of the trend lines here. This would be a target to recapture if we do trade back up. Otherwise, I got 723 as your 65 EMA on the daily.
The moves in the in Zillow and Rocket Mortgage and all those might be from the Fed speak. They keep talking about housing. It's from Mirren. They keep talking about housing and tariff inflation and just a number of other things. But they're mentioning housing in this. So I think that's probably why you're getting the moves down in real estate names.
Okay.
And, it's interesting, the comment of goods inflation is mostly from tariffs, but acknowledges does not have a full explanation for it. I might take a stab at that, see if, we do have a pretty dire situation forming in California as far as fuel prices go. I don't know how many, has Tim Melvin ever talked about what's going on over there as far as the refineries and
no
fuel prices? So,
that's interesting too, because I actually just filled up, and premium, I think here in Chicago was like 250, or excuse me, 350.
The state average is 430, and it's
in California,
and it's set to go higher next year because a couple of things are happening. So this is a state that used to have like over 40 refineries. They're down to 8, and they're closing more. And it's through all these green initiatives that they're making it difficult for refiners to stay in business there. So some of them are just packing up shop and leaving. You have Valero, that's going to be leaving. Phillips 66.
Are these companies going to Texas? Are they moving some of the operations to Texas? I think you've talked about that earlier.
I think they're moving it just out of state. They're just not going to be in California anymore. I don't have an exact location of where all these are going, but some are moving operations to Texas. So their headquarters.
Yeah.
And you also have the fact that because they're going to need to they still have a lot of ICE vehicles out there, and you're seeing these refineries run into problems and shutter much sooner than their timeline. So it's leading to higher fuel prices in the short run, and they're going to have to start importing all of their fuel. And the other thing is that California only has or only allows one type of gasoline to be used. It's specially made in their refineries, so it's not like they can just have it made somewhere else and brought in. They have to refine it all there, and you're leading to. And there's also another company that's shuttering in April as well. So you're going to see, and with all this refinery output being cut over the next 4 or 5 months, you're going to see some pretty high gas prices. And what that's going to lead to is higher food inflation, higher goods inflation, because these trucks that are trucking all this stuff into places, they don't run on, they're not all completely electric. So a lot of gas engines in there. Gas prices are set to go very, very high in California. Like it could be $8 to $10 next year.
That's crazy. That's actually been one of the things that's been helping some of those inflation numbers. Looking at crude here, crude down on percent here this morning, 56.88 on crude.
See, John, Chevron corporate office left after 100 years. Yep, that's another one.
Okay. All right, RadX looks like that is open and rehalted. Yep, to the downside. Be careful with some of the movers here.
Mhm.
And also, by the way, the market seems to still be pulling a little bit here as well.
Big pull in KYTX. I wonder if they made an offering. Let's see. Don't see any news about why this this big drop all of a sudden in KYTX.
This looks like a pull down. Wait for it. Wait for it. 65 EMA.
So let's see here. Looks like Mist is trying to turn around after selling off this morning. So maybe that bottomed. We'll see. And it still has to recapture a VWAP here. So we'll see if that ends up happening. It's coming up to where the price action went sideways on Friday and into the after hours. So coming up to we're in a resistance area right now. And then you have the VWAP. So needs some more volume to get through some of these levels here. MIST, IMNM. This is still recovering.
Really quickly here, Oracle new lows. It says more downside here on Oracle. We talked last week about possible areas to add this if it continues to come in. 13, remind me, I think we had 160 to 170 through our conglomerate of different spots and long-term charts. I think 165 was an area in there. I'm trying to go off memory, so I might be getting it wrong. Oracle here breaking the recent support. Looks like new lows. We got a gap fill coming here as well, down to about 178.
So 180 was my next one.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that if that doesn't hold up, then I was pointing out the 500 day SMA as a support area. So that's what I'd be looking at here. We are getting pretty oversold. So I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of movement down beneath 180 if that even happens, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if we did trade beneath 180. Okay. It's just that we're getting a little bit extended to the downside here.
Okay, let me know, chat. Let me know, where's your ad spot on Oracle? Is anyone looking to swing or invest in Oracle at a specific level? I'd be curious on that. A lot of the movers here on the relative volume scanner in the red as the market continues to pull here. We talked about SPY and some of the levels that are important there. SPY currently at 682.75 right now. We talked about 684, 685 being key areas. Both of those obliterated here today.
So let's see, RadX, if there's going to be some more downside to this one, then you have that 200 EMA down at 741. If you look at a daily chart, you can see that we that area around 741, not 740 exactly, but that area around there, like give or take 25 cents. You can see back from September and October earlier this year, that was a resistance area. We couldn't get the price to push through it until today. So now that we are above it, we're coming back down to it. I would think that that's going to be an area of support now. So I would say from about, let's say like 7.25 to $8, that somewhere in there, probably going to find some support if it ends up coming down that far. There's still also some levels where it could find support before that, maybe 9.25. But because of how much we're halting down already, I don't think it would be surprising to me if we just went right back into the gap or filled the gap all the way down. But that 200 EMA is what I'd be keeping an eye on because of the price action we had earlier this year. Okay,
it's down at 735 on the 5 minute. Real quickly here, I was asking about Oracle. Ed here saying no way, too much debt with Oracle. CW Parker says next Oracle support at 176. We'll see if Oracle makes a move down to that level here. Tesla stopped its move higher, just shy of 480. And 13, it's cold here. It's in the single digits. I'm going to go grab a sweater. I'll be right back.
That's not a bad idea. It's getting a little cold here too. We actually had 33 prints this morning. So it's a little cold out here in Texas. And we're gonna see 80s again later this week. So never a dull moment out here. Looks like RADX is trying to recapture the 65 EMA. We'll see how well that works. Looks like we are trying to get some recovery in some of these names here. Let's go back and look at Zillow and see how that's going, if that is recovering or not. No, looks like that's still headed down. Not everything's recovering yet. IMNM is still trying to push up. That's at least above its VWAP, so that one's looking better, but it's up at this supply zone from earlier in the pre-market, so might run into some upside trouble there. Need to see some more volume to get through all that that sideways consolidation from about 25 to 27. What's going on with iron? I don't know. Let's look. It's selling off like a lot of other stuff. Let me see if I can get a little bit, if there's any news on this. Don't see any recent news, but you know, it is in the software space, and you know, it's on. I think it's all on that crypto side. So with Bitcoin coming in, this is going to come in with it. Pretty Panda mentioned AMCI. This is the AMC Robotics, the SPAC that just happened recently. So this is recovering. Let me look at this on a broker chart.
All right, sorry about that. 13.
No problem. We're looking at AMCI. This is recovering after going sideways out of the open or into the open. Recaptured the VWAP. It's halted to the upside now. So maybe this is the day that it recovers, but we got some. So it's come up to a bit of a sideways consolidation area from Thursday and into the after hours before it went lower on Friday. So this area here from about, I guess we'll say from like $5 to $5.25. There's a little bit of a sideways area that it has to get through. After that, your next area of resistance probably going to be somewhere up in $5.75 area. So got some resistance on the way up, but yes, you're right. It is trying to recapture here. I would think that maybe $6 as it was in the pre-market here, probably the biggest resistance area beyond 5.
Real quick, KYTX is still battling with that 65 EMA down there at 1095. This is right at that round number 11. And I'm not sure which direction this is going to go. That might have just been a nasty pull there. Daniel saying my broker is not getting filled on AMCI. Daniel, what broker? And is your order getting rejected, or are you just simply not seeing a fill there? Tenzin saying possible Apple reversal point. Tenzin, I was waiting for this. I was actually hoping I'd be able to see some of that on the unusual option flow, but it's been mostly Tesla here. Maybe I just simply missed it. This is what your Apple chart looks like. So it does look like a 275 bounce is being put in here. Do you think we have a chance at maybe moving back up towards 278? I'm just wondering if we can close this sell-off. We can kind of retrace and get some of the sell-off back.
Yeah, KYTX, it's down at that 65 EMA. This has to hold up, or I think we're going to get some more downside to the 200. AMCI unhalted. That's taken off now.
Look at that. That's it's going to rehalt here at 630, I think.
All right, next levels for this as far as resistance goes. So we're kind of up at it right now. If I'm looking at a daily chart. This area in the 6 handle, it starts at about 575, and it goes, and most of the consolidation is up until about 880 with some high prints, like on December 9th, only it being higher than that. We're in a consolidation area. I would think that there's still going to be some pretty big, a large amount of sellers because they weren't able to get out when we had this drop last week. So I would think that you're going to see some selling into this sideways area.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. By the way, Tiger, we have no news catalyst on this AMCI move here today. No news catalyst on this move here today. Andre is asking, would you guys bet on Zillow or some crappy penny stock AIRE? For me, that's an easy one. I would bet on Zillow. And frankly, I think, this obviously trading down 12% on the home buyer sentiment here. Not being great. I would wait for a support level here. Zillow's a real company here. And actually, our real estate expert who joins us on Happy Hour, despite the hiccup that we're seeing in housing right now, sure seems to believe that Zillow is going to be a long-term winner in the housing market when that inevitably does turn back around. I would say Zillow here. I would say especially if you get kind of like an oversold condition here. I know we recently broke a support level, so we're kind of down at this next one here at 64. Sure looks like $60 would be the next spot down from the chart here. But man, oh man, I suspect Zillow will be a long-term winner, and if we get an opportunity to buy it cheaper here, that would be pretty good.
I just don't think I'd want to own a company that is going through NASDAQ compliance or recompliance. That's what AIRE is doing. If you look back in November, there's some news that they were granted a 180-day extension to regain compliance with NASDAQ. So they have until May 18th to do that. So there's a future catalyst for you if they manage to have that happen. But this is one I would want to be holding on to with the hopes that it will. It still loses money. Has some revenue, but it still loses money.
681 now on the SPY. Remember, we're looking at 680 being a possible hold point. Matt here saying something happened. BBAI, DPro, and Ondas all getting hit today. All of those stocks that you mentioned there were stocks that traded up pretty well on speculation. It looks like we kind of have a risk-off sentiment here today. Bitcoin, let me actually go to the Bitcoin chart here. That's really telling the story here today. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing here yet again. Way to go, Ryan. No. Go ahead, 13. Bail me out of this.
Yeah, I still think Bitcoin's going down to 75. I still think it's going to the 75,000 level. We talked about this. I don't remember if it was last week or a week before, but when we were looking at Bitcoin when it had a drop last time, it might have been last week, we were talking about where this would go. And I still think 75 is where you're going to get some better support. I think it's going to go beyond the 80,732 level that it low that it hit in November last month. So,
and if you take a look at this daily chart here, 13, that spot seems completely on brand, or likely, I guess I should say. We talked about this move down here. I know we kind of went through the purple shaded area. Look, we sold off. We had kind of a regressive bounce back, did not quite get to the 50-day. Now it sure looks like another rollover here. We're basically in this zone. This purple shaded zone, by the way, is between 85 and 90K. Sure looks like we want to kind of resolve and retest the 75K level that you mentioned. We put this in back in April earlier of this year. We'll see if we retest this here on Bitcoin. Today, though, straight down. In fact, if we look at the 5-minute chart, this is what it looks like intraday. Look at that move down here, Bitcoin.
Since it was getting mentioned, IREN, after all this selling, finally got a little bit of a pop. Don't know if we're going to see it turn around from here. Maybe watch some of the other names that are in the AI space or in the crypto space as well. Tech generally, see if they're starting to turn around here. That might be telling us that that's what's happening, but don't know. Don't know if that is yet.
Every time I go to that crypto chart, it wipes out my watermark here, but let me just reset it. We'll go back to it. Here's your IREN chart. I know this thing has been a really big mover here this year. Really kind of been on a disappointing move lower.
All right, let's see what else we're getting here out of.
I'll tell you what, at Tens and Apple, that bounce off of 275 that looked like that was materializing, that's already been evaporated here. So more weakness in Apple as that returns to the lows. Tesla retraced about 50% of its move right out of the open. So that's actually coming back in here. And as we just covered, some of the spec names that were trading higher, some of the ones that moved with the IWM moving to the upside, those also getting hit here. Market is trying to bounce from 282 on the SPY. I'll tell you what I don't see. Let me see what the actual volume metric is.
AMCI is open. Slightly higher print, back and forth, whipping around, but it looks like it's going to try and push higher here as long as the volume holds up. Seller in the way at $6.
15.5 million shares traded on the SPY. It does kind of feel a little bit low volume here on this move down. Here's your AMCI chart. Let me make it a little bit more visible for you. Open here and pulling back. Boy, a lot of red on the scanner here today, folks. Yep. A lot of red out there. I think on a day like this, especially at the beginning of the week, when the market's really trying to figure out where it's going to go next, I think you're okay being patient on a day like this. This is not a day to be a hero. If the market continues to be weak, sure, you should be able to find some possible long side plays on relative strength. But otherwise, if you don't have a good line on anything, I think it's okay being a little bit more cautious here. By the way, 13, iRobot, we talked about that having a little bit of a bounce. Guess where it ran into resistance? You guessed correctly, the 65 EMA on the 5 yet again.
All right. Well, I mean, that's going to be the level to clear. It just needs to see the volume. And right now, it's really not getting it. I mean, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of movement in this name right now. It's still looking pretty weak. We'll see. I mean, might get a sudden whale of a move. I don't know. I'm not going to make any predictions about what's going to happen with this. Just can only tell you the levels.
Real quickly here, I'm noticing a GEV long side call bet, 100 contracts. Trader spent 320,000. We talked about GEV a lot last week. I know it was weak at the end of the week there. Ended up staying in this. So real quickly, let's just rehash the chart here a little bit. Here's what your chart looks on GEV. Now, I understand on Friday we broke beneath the bottom end of the island. We closed beneath it. Generally speaking, this invalidates the trade, but a couple of things that I wanted to bring to your attention here. First of all, I did not want to be chased away that quickly. I wanted to at least give this the weekend, see if we can get back in there. Lo and behold, GE Vernova did try to trade back up. This is actually up nearly 1% against a market that's down or back at unchanged here. We gave up our gains from earlier. So GEV does seem a little bit stronger. This is in my energy thesis here for 2026. I wanted to give it a little bit more runway here. Also, remember, I know we're not going to have Anne-Marie this week because she's traveling, but she told us that we were looking at a little bit of a seasonality dip here in mid-December. Kind of feel like that's what we're getting here today. Maybe the jury's out. Maybe we don't have enough data, but part of me is thinking that maybe this gets bought too. We'll see. So GEV still long on this one. If this really starts to accelerate, I'll probably get chased from it, but I'll give this one a little bit more leeway here. No options on this. It's just stock, so it's a little bit easier to hold. Yeah.
Costco caught a downgrade today from Roth Capital, and then Dollar General caught an upgrade from JP Morgan. I think that kind of goes in line with the conversation we were having earlier this year about some of the discount retailer names performing well next year. We saw some of that with TJ Maxx, Ross Stores. We were looking at Dollar Tree, Dollar General. They've been doing well so far, and now they're continuing to get analyst calls in the direction we're thinking. Costco coming in, the other retail, grocers kind of rising. So it bodes well for the whole thought we had here. But just wanted to point that out to you that at least there's one person that thinks it's a sell for Costco.
Yeah, and real quick here, looking at the chart, notable, we actually tried to challenge the 500-day moving average here today. The first move on Costco was a move up, took it basically right to 588. Your 500-day moving average is at 587.31. So here it is. It actually looked like Costco tried to recapture and challenge that moving average 13, just did not have the strength to do it. Now this has rolled over. This actually looks like this is going to try and go lower here today. That's cost, ticker COST. I did my part. I was there this weekend.
So real quick, we're switching to AMCI now that we have some upside really churning out here with the company and the stock this morning. If you draw a trend line from the after hours high on Friday, that should be at about 5:05 and p.m. And then you draw it through the pre-market high this morning, our initial move up. That's going to give you a trend line that we might actually end up hitting here in AMCI, and that would give it a value of about maybe somewhere between low 8s and the mid 9s. Yeah.
So I think this is what you got here. Let me change this a little and make it extend it out. So there you go.
Yep. So that gives you something to shoot for. No guarantee it gets there, but it's got the trajectory.
AMCI, I've made no trades on that. I've stayed away from that here today. We talked a little bit about iRobot here. Again, cannot get above the 65 EMA. I've watched for this maybe to roll over a little bit. Looks like that buying bounce volume has kind of evaporated a little bit here today.
Yeah, that's right. Thinking about it. Jonathan, you're doing great. You're doing great, man. He's in at 543 with AMCI.
I would say just, you get a trade like this, especially one of these wild runners, definitely make sure it doesn't go against you.
Yep. Yeah, and yeah, AMC robots will butter your popcorn. Okay, and it's open, and it's climbing higher. Climbing higher now, 744, 49, 56.
If that goes to your trend line 13, I'm just going to be... I guess it's not going to change anything. I'm already kind of amazed. A lot of these trend lines seem to get hit.
If it goes to the trend line, I'm going to be requiring everybody hit the like.
Okay, we can live with that.
And even if it doesn't, maybe consider hitting the like. All right, let's see what else is having some moves. RadX, whenever this unhalts, I have a concern that this might end up going lower. Everything else kind of looks like it's going sideways. KYTX, that got a reversal from off the 65 EMA, but I'm not liking this this formation quite yet. I think I'd like it better if it recaptured the VWAP, but right now I'm not sure if this is going to be in recovery mode.
Oh, how about this here? How about this? Veilside SM. First of all, out 661. So you know what that means. You get a register ring on your day trade here today. Grats on making some bank. But Veilside, is this a reference to Fast and the Furious 1 and all of the Veilside branding that Dom had on his car? Is that where this comes from? From one car guy to another. Curious minds are inquiring. Let me know. RadX is open here, so that one just went into one of those halts. RadX is open here, still staying beneath that 65 EMA on the 5. This actually going sideways a little bit. GG, yes, sir. I love the handle. I love the handle. I love the handle.
Oh, wow. Super Scam mentioning that Zillow down to a 500-day SMA or daily moving average. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at Zillow. Wow, that's a big move down. And yes, he's right. 500-day SMA. Right, pretty close to it. Do we hit it exactly? Let me look at a smaller time frame. That value is what, 65 almost exactly. And just shy. I think we're just a few pennies shy of hitting that exactly. But yep, great mention.
How are the pot names doing? CGC. Okay, so this actually this is interesting. It actually looked like this dipped a little bit with everything else. Really, all of the other risk assets that we were talking about here really kind of coming back in. But cannabis so far bouncing still a little bit. Let's see if YCBD looks the same. Indeed, it does. How about Tilray? How about good old Tilray here? Post split. So Tilray even trying to bounce as well. So it looks like some of those pot names, maybe those will stay on here. That initial move seems to have gotten bought back up. Let's do a quick check-in on the market overview here. Sell mentioning that financials are in the green. Indeed, most of that is green here. Healthcare also looks mostly in the green. Well, look at this. In IT, some rough patches out there. Same with communication services. So looks like we're having some continuation on that. Broadcom down 3.5% here. Big red square. Broadcom. What else we got in here? ServiceNow down 10%. Wow, ServiceNow. Let me go back to my main workspace here real quick. Just want to take a quick peek at the heat map.
I mean, if Mirren would stop talking, we might actually get a reversal here, because that's all that I keep seeing come across the news feed is Mirren says, and then I'm just looking at the charts. I'm like, Mirren's saying a lot to take this market down.
Yeah, he sure is. Expects better GDP growth and lower deficits from that, as well as tariff revenue. The renewal of Treasury bill purchases by the Fed are not QE and will continue to transfer some risk to private markets. Prefer an all treasury balance sheet unless there is another crisis centered in the housing market. Do not support sales of mortgage-backed securities because it might be at this point involve the Fed realizing losses on its holdings. But you're right. It does seem market seems to be moving in coordination with Fed Mirren's speaking here. All right, let's see. Is there anything else notable that's out there? I know Onda's taking another leg lower here. Apple looking like it's taking another leg lower. Amazon another leg lower. And Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually did take another leg lower. Bitcoin's still on the lows. Boy, I tell you what, maybe we get your 75K by Christmas.
I don't know I don't have a time frame for when that happens. It just, I'm looking at the technicals and thinking 75 looks like the biggest support area beyond 80.
No, of course not. And I'm just speculating there. Part of me wonders if we get a move down to that by Christmas and then buy the dippers, step in on Bitcoin, maybe that would fuel a possible Santa rally post-Christmas.
Possibly. Apparently, that's a good one. Thinking about it, apparently service later.
That's SERV.
Not service now, service later.
Habney is asking if is there any logic on why data centers are down 25% in the past 2 days? Yeah, that really came on the back of, what was it, an Oracle report last week that they were going to shift their delay some of their data center stuff to 2028 from 2027. I think there is a little bit more worry in the system now about how much money is being spent on AI. How much benefit are we actually going to get out of it? We had a report, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I think it was, and I even think Day Trader commented on this, that Microsoft's Copilot, their AI tool, not popular at all. People don't like using it. Day Trader, I'm sorry if I improperly cited you there. Someone here in the chat had mentioned that those AI tools not very sought after or helpful. I know we've kind of questioned, what is AI actually going to do? I saw AI created videos of a guy grabbing a alien from the movie Aliens and then looking like he's doing some type of surgery on it. 13, I couldn't help but think, God, RAM has gone up 400% because people are making dumb videos about, alien getting operated on with AI. It's causing a lot of that stuff. So I don't really know where this all goes here, but it sure seems like it all kind of stemmed with that initial Oracle report, and data have continued to be weak since then. Yeah.
So it's like we've been saying for a while with these the whole AI and data center trade.
And here, thinking about it, giving some more context on this, thinking about it, saying no, AI down because data center build out timeline not fast enough to sustain further chip buying. Isn't that what we were talking about with Oracle? Same thing.
If I could just get a chance to get it out, I'll say it. So we've talked about this, about how this whole AI trade is essentially just one large upside down pyramid. Okay. And it's all based on if everything works out the way that they are expecting it to. Timelines work out, everything works out, supply chain works out. You take one of those components away, and the whole thing is going to result in what we're seeing here today. If there's a delay in one of the chips, one of the chips for a particular set of data centers that are having a delay, that's going to take out everything that's going forward with that particular trade. So in Oracle's case, because they're having labor shortages, I think that was one of the biggest, like labor and construction shortages. That's going to be one of the things that pushes this whole thing out. So now that you have that delay, that's also going to delay the purchase and implementation of all the servers and all the chips. It's going to delay potential revenues as a result of that. So everything that was from that point on is now being delayed as a result. So you're getting a whole unwind of this trade because it's not meeting those expectations. That's really all it comes down to.
Oracle says site selection and delivery timelines established in close coordination with OpenAI following the execution of agreement and were jointly agreed there have been no delays to any sites required to meet our contractual commitments, and all milestones remain on track. Now, thinking about it here, summarizing this, I think I like this. I like this summary. It's short and easy to understand. The data center demand is real. The build out's just going to take time. But don't worry thinking about it, because OpenAI is going to change things. Apparently, adult entertainment is coming to ChatGPT in 2026. So that should solve all of our problems, right?
I made a point last week when we got that news on Oracle, and they were citing that they have a lot of shortages in the labor that's needed to do these build out the data for the big data centers. So we were talking electricians, plumbers, concrete workers, all that stuff. They're in short supply. So maybe we should be looking at these education stocks. I pointed out UTI.
Yeah.
Look what it's doing today.
Actually, I hadn't looked at UTI here today. Relative strength up almost 5% today.
We need more skilled labor. I think we want to pay attention to what's going on with some of these education stocks.
I think Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs was making the rounds, talking about the need for trades and people to take up trades over the weekend. I think that was something somewhat recent.
He's been saying that for a while. He hasn't been wrong, and he hasn't been talking about data centers in that respect either. Just in general, we are short these skills.
Positive trader, good mention here. 680 coming now on the SPY. And remember, this was an intraday low from Friday where the market held and actually tried to bounce twice from. Here it is. Looks like we're revisiting this as we speak. NASDAQ also at the lows. Dow at the lows. Let's take a quick peek at IWM here today. We haven't really looked at that here. IWM at the lows and actually through the lows from Friday. So with IWM being lower here, a lot of the smaller movers that were trading likely feeling some of the pressure. I would assign some of the weakness in Ondas to the move here in the broader market as well. Amazon, more low pounding, 223-year low there. By the way, the VIX that we talked about, I think we talked about our $14 range. VIX here, that moved from 16 to 1727. VIX at the highs of the day, 1785 was your high print from Friday. And at the same time, Bitcoin, 86,800, your low on the futures.
Yeah, that like I was pointing out that monthly chart in the SPY. I think there's some pretty clear levels about where we might be finding some support. 650 looks like a good spot, but I think we could come in even lower.
Tara, take care of yourself. It is just about 10:30 here. SPY is trying to get some type of footing here. We'll see if it's successful in doing so.
Can I speak more on UTI? So you may have seen commercials for this. Universal Technical Institute. They, yep. They specialize in training technicians essentially, and people with for varying types of jobs, like that have to do with machinery or infrastructure. Sometimes software. It's more on mechanics and infrastructure, not so much data center stuff, learning how to code or manufacture chips. I don't believe that they really cover that. I think they're more into the things behind the things for data centers that are needed. So the whole building process of the data center itself, the ducting, the cooling, the electrical, the structure itself. That's what UTI trains for.
UTI, I'm actually familiar with this because my first experience out of college was what they call an Earn As You Learn program, where I went to school for automotive repair. It was sponsored by General Motors. It was the General Motors automotive repair. There was a similar one for Ford and a similar one for Toyota out of the same institution. UTI was a competitor, if you will. So they do these programs there where they actually train you from the ground up. And in a lot of cases, they have you work alongside the training. Now here, Abel Matthew here saying skilled labor has always been a problem in construction. I hear that from my friends that work in construction as well. Immigration only provides low skill labor jobs, but little, if any, high skilled labor. And it really seems like the move to push people to move into trades is so you can start building that funnel of low and highly skilled labor in all of these different trades, if you will. 13, I think you're on to something here. I think that this is going to be a kind of a longer theme. Mm-hmm. And I think UTI probably the most notable kicker in that theme. There were others that we talked about, but I still think UTI probably the one to watch. I do think it's kind of funny that this is maybe funny is the wrong word. But given the sell-off here today, we just talked about relative strength. This absolutely showing it here today. This absolutely showing relative strength.
Yeah, and there's, I have some names on my education watch list, but I think that's just broad education. I don't necessarily think it tacks down the technical side like UTI does, but just if you're interested in them, I'll just I'll post those different names in here. I don't know which one of these are going to be good.
And while you're doing that, Nick here says Sydney Sweeney needs to do a UTI commercial. Now that's Universal Technical Institute, to be clear, but I think what we saw from AEO, Nick, I know you're kind of joking here. Here's the reality. If something like that were to happen, I would be buying, right? We saw with AEO what that did. We're talking about an actual real trend here that has nothing to do with celebrity, but if you add a celebrity layer on top of that, there you go. Maybe.
Yeah, so it could do something like Sydney Sweeney has great skills, she went to UTI. There you go. I just sold you guys. Perfect.
Abel's asking how many public traded companies. Here you go. 13 just gave you the list. This was the list that we put together in happy hour. Chegg, EDU, LINC, LRN, and then of course UTI.
There's others, and I don't think that's particularly a great list, but it's just what I have on my watch list for education stock. There you go. Those
dive deep, giving you a couple more here. LOPE, PRDO, and then LINC is some overlap there.
Yeah. So anybody, if you've got more names, absolutely throw them in there. We can build a watch list, but I think UTI, with what we're talking about, probably one of the stronger ones to look at.
Yeah.
Great skills. Yeah.
SOXL, this is that Direxion ETF. That's actually at new lows here. We also talked about SOXS on the other side of it. This one getting higher here. 13, I don't know if you were around for that, but I did ask, based on our conversation, when they're going to split SOXS in hopes that it'll trade better. One of the things he said is that when all of these Direxion ETFs drop into the single digits, they take note of it. So he didn't give me a for sure date, but it sure sounds like they see it. They're kind of planning for it. I wouldn't be shocked if we got one here pretty soon.
IREN looks like this is curling back up. It's making its way towards VWAP. There might be something here if you want to keep it on your radar.
IREN, maybe it is bouncing here. Actually, I'm seeing this bounce. I'm seeing it across the board. So Ondas is bouncing here, SPY, NASDAQ, Dow, all bouncing here. This might just kind of be a dead cat after the move down that we had out of the open.
She might not like being connected to UTI at all. There might be some reason for that, but she does work on cars. So I don't think she would necessarily make a bad spokesperson, but you might be right that there's something I'm just not thinking about that she doesn't want to be connected to. Don't know, but I think she could do fine. Especially since she's she's a bit of a gearhead.
Anything she touches seems to turn to gold. I don't think that's going to be an issue there at all, at least for right now. All right, positive trader saying SPY might be reversing up. So that's I want to see if this bounce continues. So let me ask you, is anyone looking to maybe buy the dip here today? Looking at the intraday SPY chart, it sure looks like we're bouncing off of the same area that we bounced on Friday. So my question is, does anyone believe this? Is anyone willing to take a stab at this, even just for a day trade here, let alone a swing trade? Are we thinking that this is just kind of reactionary bounce, or is this bouncing off the same spot? Sorry, 13, get in there.
No, I understand now, Abel. My mind wasn't going in that direction, so thanks for the potty hammer. What was your question about the SPY? Is it reversing here?
Basically, I'm wondering if SPY is holding the low from Friday, if this is a tradable bounce, or if this is just kind of a technical dead cat bounce.
Let's see what we got here on the 5 minute. Because I was just pointing out, just watch what Bitcoin does, because that's your gauge on whether risk on or risk off, and it looks like that's also turning around here, putting in some very
Ed
smooth
Williams
price
says
action.
inflation to decline below 2.5% in 2026. So
Okay.
sorry to interrupt you, 13, but you had mentioned earlier about how the Fed speakers really seem to be driving it down.
Yeah.
Now we get Fed Williams saying I'll read the entire quote here in a sec, but the market is bouncing, and I'm wondering if it's good Fed, bad Fed.
That's what I was thinking. It's like good cop, bad cop. Yeah.
So here you go. Fed Williams expects 2026 GDP growth to hit 2.25%, well above its 2025 rate. Projects jobless rate will come back down over the next few years. Labor market cooling has been a gradual process, sees tariffs as a one-off price adjustment, not spilling over into broader inflation, and expects inflation to move to 2.5% in 2026 and 2% in 2027. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I happen to notice that the market is bouncing in coordination with these comments here. And you had mentioned earlier how it seemed to be Mirren's comments driving the market down. Well, it looks like Williams here might be buoying it a little bit.
I think that's what it looks like. And then, of course, Mirren comes out and tries to try and take that down again. And it's by saying unnecessarily tight rates could lead to job losses.
Barat, appreciate this. Sorry, 13. Again, Barat, I went long here on Google. Okay, so Barat, you've done a lot of these short-term trades, both to the upside and the downside. Looks like Barat long on Google from holding its low on Friday. They got that at 307.5. We'll see if that trade works out. Good morning, Barat. Good to see you. GEV, by the way, 682. Glad we held on to that for a little bit.
I think when it comes to Google, it really needs to get back above 310. I don't know if that's going to happen today. Might happen today, but we want to
310.5 is where we closed on Friday.
We want to keep riding the 20-day SMA up. No, we're not talking about that line.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at
all.
all.
That was a misread in what we were saying, Lion. It's all right.
No, we're talking about their just what Oracle was saying about their having not enough skilled traders or skilled laborers to build these data centers in the time frame they're looking at. So we need more skilled labor.
And the reality is no matter what the backdrop is, there are smart people from every corner of this world. Every corner of this world. TZA, this was another, real quick, this was another one of the Direxion ETFs that we talked about earlier when we ran it down. TNA is the opposite of this one. TZA, this is the small cap bear. This is at near the high here.
AMCI, I think this is trying to make its next push up towards a trend line. The current high is 784. There's a seller on the way at 750.
RADX looking like this is resuming its pullback to that 200 EMA that we talked about. Again, that value, 761. Also, see, this is interesting. I think maybe also seeing some call buying here, some call flow here of some of the cannabis names.
There goes AMCI.
That was one of our movers, wasn't it? AMCI?
It's the one I was just talking about, recapturing 750. And
so really quickly, those cannabis. So actually, some of these look like they're short term here. The CGC one is for this week, but they're 2 calls. So that's it's what, 25 cents out of the money. So it looks like there are folks playing the weed trade to the upside, but they're all pretty short dated here. No big long-term investment. Looks like they're just trying to capitalize some more continuation to the upside.
You might be right about the bounce. Let's see what happens over the next 5 to 15 minutes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bitcoin is still putting in lows, new lows.
Yeah, it is. That's a good call. Apple's still holding out near the low here. Netflix, I know this is one that we've all been kind of talking about. I was looking this morning. I didn't actually have a lot of time, and I was focusing on some other breaking news here. We didn't have any move forward in this Warner Brothers Discovery Netflix deal here, right? Let me see. Scott says Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery deal raises major antitrust problems.
Yeah.
So I still don't think that this is all figured out yet, if you will. And as a result, hard for me to have any confidence in the Netflix trade. Sure, we can look at the chart and say where some of the spots are, and maybe that'll worth keep watching. But I don't know how it's going to resolve yet.
Netflix doesn't even want all of Warner Brothers Discovery. It doesn't want their video games division, really. It doesn't want CNN. It doesn't want it doesn't want their TV business. It just wants a lot of their IP. I was confused about the video game business because that seems to do pretty well. And they
now,
have
the video game.
own,
does that also include the IP? Well. Does that also include the IP that you would make movies off of based on those characters? Or are you talking about the actual like? Okay, see, I don't understand that either. Then I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So they seem to just want really the movie IP mostly.
Probably smart, given what Netflix is doing there. I would probably want the movie IP too, and I would want to keep it as straight. We're already seeing concerns about spending so much on that intellectual property. You might as well trim that down to all the stuff that you're going to use. Cut the fat, if you will. Netflix, Zach saying Netflix less politically motivated. Well, that makes a lot of sense why they wouldn't want CNN then.
Well, so they're gonna split, and then the part that Netflix wants they're gonna get, and then the other part's gonna be called Global Networks Company. It's or Discovery Global, I think. That's gonna have CNN, TNT, Discovery, all those channels.
TNT is how I watch a lot of my hockey games. Really quickly here, Broadcom more lows. So we talked a little bit about the market bounce. Actually, that bounce fading a little bit here too. Broadcom not even bouncing with it, just more lows here. 343 now, AVGO. Barat, did you short this at all today? What a move down out of the gate on Broadcom. Are we getting Google to continue to bounce at all? No, but it's holding those lows so far, so that trade likely still on.
Let me look at a monthly here.
Man, there's not even really anything else interesting here that I see on my screen. Let me see if there's anything else.
Yeah, just some of these short ETFs, really.
God bless the ETFs, though. At least we've got something to go after. Maybe I'll watch those this afternoon. Yeah, so I'm just looking at my sheet here. Cannabis and dividend-paying stocks. That's what's in the green for me.
Makes sense. Things that are highly leveraged or that pay out a dividend, value names. Well, those are loving the low rate environments. Great mention here on Costco. This lost the 875 level, which was a support level last month. That's fallen through it here. So lower we go. This follows a downgrade from Roth Capital. Don't know how low this is going to end up going, but I can provide levels on the way down. And to me, it looks like 850 could be next.
Yeah, Barat, appreciate the insight here. Barat says, I shorted Broadcom on Friday in the afternoon at 385, and it squeezed me to 389, so you ran from it. I should have held and closed for a loss before the market opens. Darn, what a short it could have been. Had 4,000 shares short on it. So that's you know what though, Barat? That's part of the tough. That's why this is difficult, right? Like to me, the thesis made a whole lot of sense. You basically just got one bounce that squeezed you out before your thesis took to fruition, if you will, whatever the right way of saying that is. Costco here through Friday's intraday lows, more new lows here. That was another good mention there.
Looks like some of these movers from this morning are starting to curl up. It just looks that way.
Ondas back to VWAP. So maybe we will get that. What are some of the movers you're looking at, 13?
It's so the IMG, that's starting to go sideways. It hasn't recaptured VWAP yet, so still need to see that box check, but it's gone sideways. So the selling looks like it's either slowed or stopped for now. If we can't recapture it, it'll probably resume lower into the Friday's low area of consolidation, but something to watch for because it's been going sideways. KYTX, that bounced off the 65 EMA, still making its way towards VWAP. IMNM. This didn't really lose any levels. It lost it out of the gate and then came back up, and we're kind of going sideways above the VWAP right now. But the next area for this to take off looks to be at about 25. So if we can start closing over $25 on the 5-minute chart, this thing might be able to push up higher. Mist also recapturing the VWAP. GLSI, this is kind of going sideways, but it's getting support from the 200 EMA. So not necessarily saying that these are all turning around, but they look like they're, at the very least, the selling is slowing or stopping.
Now, yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at the indices while you were giving that rundown, 13, and part of me is wondering if Bharat's correct here. If this, given the sell-off that we saw out of the open, remember Bharat called out long Google here down around 308. We're at 309 right now. I tell you what, if this bounce continues, Google, that actually might end up being the play of the day. Now, I don't know that, chasing this bounce back up may result in some more pain. So I think if you didn't position for this, chasing might not be the best move here. But man, the bounce looks good across the board here. TSLL trading back up to the highs as Tesla is also looking like it's going to try and retake some of those highs. Boy, it looks like we just got some of that Fed talk, shook out some of the weak hands early here. I'd be curious to know what the market looks like in the afternoon closer to the close if we end up holding the 680 low today.
Yeah, because
here's your TSLL, by the way.
We are past that time where the volume does really leave the market. So maybe it does come back in the afternoon after the lunch hour. Saw a lot of that in the cannabis names on Friday.
Yep.
Once we started getting to the afternoon, they turned back up. So it's always a possibility for some of these names that get hammered down in the morning to make a return later on if you just keep them on your radar.
Tenzin saying, I think this was all a shakeout.
Probably.
I'm wondering the same thing. I know we've talked a lot about dip buyers. Eventually, one of the times that they buy the dip, they're going to end up getting punished. I don't know if we're there yet. And Tenzin, this almost does kind of feel like a little shakeout move. Now, here's the thing that I will say. While I didn't get myself caught behind the 8 ball trying to trade some of this and set myself back, I didn't buy the dips on any of these names. I held GEV through its dip. I actually didn't add to that. Might be something else to take a look at here.
I think I'd be a little bit more cautious about the market reversing anytime soon until we get the Bank of Japan decision. I think once we get past that, we'll probably end up seeing better trading. It could be a lot of back and forth up until that time though. And I think we also have some other data coming this week too. Let me just double check and see if that's right.
While you're doing that, let me clean up a couple of things here. Tom, when making a specific news feed using keywords, let me show that here in a sec. All right, Tom, let me do that here in a sec. Bharat says, Ryan, is there a good way to share a screenshot here? No, you can always, if it's a tweet, like if it's a Dietrich tweet, you can always, post it in the chat and I can have the producer grab it for me, the actual tweet itself. The way I see your chat messages, if I click on them, I can't copy and paste them. I can choose to display them on screen, but there's no way for you to post graphics. So you would have to post a link to a graphic or something like that.
Tomorrow, we get a delayed employment report. It's for November. We also get a delayed U.S. retail sales report. That's for October. And then in addition to that, we also get an unemployment rate, hourly wages, year over year, retail sales minus autos, and some other PMI information. But that's all tomorrow. Wednesday, we get Chris Waller speaking and New York Fed President John Williams making remarks. And you also have jobless claims and consumer price index on Thursday, it looks like. So I'm just going off this calendar. That looks like what we're getting here.
Yeah, I remember we had Williams today, so maybe he'll help juice it there on Wednesday. Okay, Tom, really quickly here. Tom asked the question, when making a specific news feed for using only keywords, will it just show news with those words, and do you put them all in at once separated by commas? So the answer to your overall question is yes. Let's do something like primary and endpoint, since we use that from the news here today. So first of all, when you put multiple keywords in there, you do not separate them by commas. Each new word automatically has what's called a Boolean separation. So you get to choose between and or not In this case, it's basically only returning news that include primary or endpoint. If I change that to and, it now only includes news that contains primary and endpoint. And furthermore, Tom, if I click on the search term itself, you can see that it is searching for that term in both the headline and the body. But if I change this by clicking on that and then I do it to the next one, now it is only returning news where the word primary and the word endpoint appear in the title. So we get Gilead, IMNM, Hura, ZBio, all of these today that have primary endpoint as part of the news. This is without a doubt the most powerful keyword news filter that I've come across here. You get complete Boolean control over those different search terms, and you can pick and choose body versus title only. All right, 13. Let me go back to my main workspace. Sorry about the lesson there. You get me rolling when you talk about Pro and its capabilities. It's just how it goes.
Mist had a nice move up to the 65 and 200 EMAs, backed off since that move. It was on some higher volume than it has been seeing over the past, half hour, because we only had some really good volume out of the gate, and that was selling volume. So nice to see some buying volume here as well. Still above VWAP, but can't seem to break through the 65 and 200 EMAs just yet.
Okay, and Apple down here at just under 275. Apple trading sideways, doesn't look like it's trying to bounce yet. You can probably wait that off. Conversely, Tesla back up towards 481. We'll see if that sets a new high here.
AMCI facing a little bit of weakness. Momentum is starting to turn to the downside here. So maybe exercise a little bit of caution here with AMC if we start to put pressure on the VWAP. Now, we're not down there yet, but it did hit 838 session high. That's a little bit beneath where the trend line is, but just want to point out the little bit of a caution here that you might want to exercise on AMC with the momentum swinging to the downside potentially.
Now, the bounce here, we've got one member there in the chat looking to short the NASDAQ here on this bounce back up. Now, the bounce does look like it's slowing here. I'm not sure if it's done. That's you. You'd have to play that yourself here. But it does look like maybe it's just that rebound kind of taking a break here. So Trumo, or is that Trumo or is that Rumo, I see why you're shorting here. I would just ask as kind of a follow-up, do you have a stop plan in case this doesn't move in your direction?
AMCI starting to really sell off now, making its way towards the VWAP. I'm a little concerned about the price action on the SPY as well. On the 5-minute chart, you have a bear flag forming. So let's see here. If I'd say if we can't get back into the, I want to say 82, but I think it might be more a little bit higher, like around 83. If we can't get recapture some of those levels in the SPY soon here, I think we're going to come back down to test 680 again.
IAG, this is IM Gold. Tons of call sweeps on this name just now. Just mentioning it. No trade off of it, just mentioning it. Apple still going sideways there, Tenzin.
ASTI moving. Don't think we looked at this one. Ascent Solar. Maybe this is one of the good solar names because we are seeing build out of solar farms. They're popping up almost monthly. Let's see, process manufacturing and selling photovoltaic products, solar modules that are flexible, durable, and possess attractive power to weight ratio and power to area performance. That's interesting. Maybe this is one of the better solar plays. I don't know. I haven't really looked at this one yet.
Real quick, Rumo, that short there, NASDAQ, that has it feels like you almost top ticked it based on when we saw that message. The bounce there on SPY, NASDAQ, that is trading back over here. By the way, Zillow got mentioned here. Zillow looks like this did try and hold 65, but I would watch this move in the market. If this bounce starts to fade some more, that might take Zillow with it. Here's what I'm talking about. Let me bring SPY up here real quick. And 13, if you need a visual aid here, just let me know. So you had just mentioned you had the SPY 5-minute was concerning you. It looked like a bear flag. Since that time, SPY has done nothing but move down.
That's funny. It just sort of happened right away as soon as I mentioned
right away.
The thing with Zillow is that they finally got some new news here. Zillow shares are facing heavy selling pressure Monday amid reports that Alphabet is testing real estate listings and search results. Ouch. That'd be terrible for Zillow if Google came along and just had something that did the same thing that Zillow does.
Yes, G-Man here saying the second wave of sellers. To me, it's going to be, how strong is that wave, right? So, like, do they get bought back up here? By the way, Google, which we just talked about since Bharat mentioned his entry right around it when it was happening, Google's still holding that area. Now, again, we'll watch the broader market. If it gives this up, that too might give up Google, but so far this is holding there. ASTI halted here. Yep. That is indeed on the halt tool here. It's halted to the downside after that move to 450.
Yeah, let's see where this went to. See what's giving this resistance here. Okay, so that was pretty close to one of the last times it went up here. So almost a year ago, it went up to this area and rejected the next day. This consolidated area from August appears to be the culprit right now. So if we get clear of all that sideways consolidation, it looks like the next area of resistance is going to be up around 665 to 750.
X-Sniper, take care of yourself. Thanks for all your support. Be sure to hit that like on the way out if you hadn't already.
Take care, Sniper.
Have a good rest of your Monday.
MCI also still pulling back a bit. Still looks like it's rolling over. Hasn't lost VWAP yet, but getting pretty close to doing that.
DSLL looking all right. App is bouncing pretty good here, although I'm seeing put flow into that. Call flow into Iron. Put flow into Micron. We got Micron earnings this week.
Be interesting if that we got a good sell-off into those earnings. That might cause a rebound if the report's good.
That's going to be on Wednesday after hours. So that will, today, tomorrow, and the Wednesday New York session will determine if we get that sell-off or not. So that's SPY. We talked about that SPY bounce kind of cooling. Retraced about 30% of the bounce move here, but we'll see if it can hold in. 681 is what SPY is holding on to at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like RedX also is trying to turn back up towards VWAP. I have VWAP at 1349, and it looks like the real struggle that RedX is having right now is with the about the somewhere between 1225 and 1250, that range right there. So if it gets up there, we'll see if it can push through.
What do I show for MSTR on option flow? Ryan, I haven't noticed anything on that today, but let me filter it and see if I can't get you an answer there.
Oof.
Nothing. Oh, never mind.
Let's see.
I see flow on both sides. Not a whole lot of really big stuff. Biggest trade here was a put trade for this week, the 172 put. Trader spent 143K on that. Another 150K trade here for January 190 calls.
MSTR, this is still, kind of traversing the upper half of the sideways consolidation channel that we identified from last year. And this still could come down to 150 before it actually, sees any kind of reversal, maybe even go lower. The channel I have here is from 100 to 200. We got it from the price action from February of last year until it broke out of the channel in October of last year. So that sideways consolidation is what I'm looking at here for support and resistance. And right now we're still headed down towards that 150 area of support, which is mid channel. Space stocks crushed. Yep, looks like they deorbited, huh?
Yep, they're crashing back down to Earth.
That's going to be it's going to be them. It's going to be quantum. It's going to be drones. It's going to be nuclear. I mean, all those are down today, aren't they? SMR, that's down. Oklo, that's down a lot. So
You
yeah,
know,
all those runner
uh,
names are down.
yeah, I was going to say a lot of those were some of the high flyers.
Yeah.
Like I'd even throw Ondas and Depro in there just on the drone side of things. It looks like a lot of that maybe risk off here today.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Yeah, Kev, take care of yourself. Hopefully you're having a good one, my man. And Knights Lance, take care.
Yeah, Rocket Lab had a really big move back down. It's okay. We're still in the 50s, though.
All right, 13. We are almost out of time here, and we are going to Trader Bacon next. So do you have any closing words for our group here today?
Don't be a hero. I don't think today's
that's
day for
good.
it.
I think that's a good piece of advice today. 13.
Don't be a hero today. You know, I had one small trade, and that was it. I haven't done anything else. I'm just, enjoying RGTZ, see how that goes. But, you know, folks, I mean, there's really no reason to try and force anything and try and call bottoms here because this is, you know, we've had a really big extended move up into these numbers. So we could see some unwinding happen over the course of this entire week with all the news and data that we're coming. So just keep your head on a swivel. Don't try to force trades. Protect yourself. And we'll be back here at this tomorrow to make some more trades. So until then, take care, everybody.
All right, really good stuff, 13. We are indeed done here for today. I hope that you have a great rest of your Monday as we barrel closer to the Christmas holiday. Again, happy Hanukkah out there to anyone that celebrates. We are going to Trader Bacon here next. You don't have to do anything. I'll send you right over there. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.